sign-up bonus.
And we're live. Sorry about that, folks. We have RJ from Do You Take Cards with us. RJ, how are you this evening?
I'm well. How are you?
Not too bad. And we've got Tariq from Reek's Rewards, also drinking from a stadium cup.
Actually, this is not a stadium cup. This was a commemorative UTSA 2021 Conference Championship Cup that I got from Circle K.
Oh, well,
also
it looks like
not as good as. Also, I'm doing not as good as RJ because the Red Sox beat the Rangers.
Yes, the Red Sox have given me hope. This is a very dangerous time of the year. I have slight hope in the Red Sox.
There's hope springs eternal, I guess. I don't know. I'm a Mets fan. You're going to win 54 games. You're going to lose 54 games. It's going to be whatever you do in the other 54 that really matters.
Hey, don't be too hopeful. The White Sox also won today. So,
I mean,
broken clock twice a day.
Yeah. Again, you're going to win 54. You're going to lose 54. It's whatever you do with the other 54. Although
White Sox with 54 games. Come on, Matt. Be realistic.
I'm trying. All right, we've got early questions from Bedakira Zilo, who asks best cards to use to pay taxes. I would say the best card would be the whatever card you're working a welcome offer on would be the best one. I believe RJ was mentioning that as we jumped in. Yeah, your highest rate of return is always going to be the card that you're working a welcome offer on. If you're not working a welcome offer, whatever card you need to make your points pile bigger with. If it's a Wells Fargo card, make it a Wells Fargo card. If it's Chase and Ultimate Reward points, whatever Ultimate Reward points is going to give you the best return. Usually the Freedom Unlimited or its business counterpart. Capital One, a venture card of some sort. They're all 2x.
Yeah, I think we overthink things like this. Like, yes, it can be, depending on the person, it can be a rather large amount. So we want to like maximize it. But also, like, if you have a Hilton card and you want, that X of points, just go with Hilton card. If you want, Chase points, go with a Chase. Like, unless you're actively working a welcome offer, which is probably the best way to do it, just go with the one that you want the points in. I think we overthink.
Choice. I blame credit card Reddit and this maximalizers.
Yeah, that, like, I get it. You want the most. Okay, you have a card that's got 2, 3, whatever percent that you'll do it. Not the Bill or the Robinhood cards. Make sure, guys, I'm going to say a thing. Maybe read the terms of service of your credit cards occasionally. Perhaps one should do such a thing.
Yeah.
One of the best uses for large language models for me is just I will take my card's terms and conditions, throw them into the large language model, and just say, explain this to me like I'm 5. And they tell me everything I need to know.
I kind of want to like upload all of the Amex cards just to like have them find me the differences, because I'm sure there are some weird differences on the cards that have like, those weird terms of service things, but you never see them. So it'd be interesting.
Keith also mentions or Smartly card, and jumps into our next question from Bedakiri. Yeah, Smartly. Bedakiri asks thoughts on where the Smartly card is headed, and I will start with down, just down. Yeah, it's not great when they have to send out letters explaining this is not a business card, and then follow it up later with you can no longer apply for this card in branch.
So I think I kind of blame US Bank for this. I mean, ultimately they're the issuer, right? So they're going to take a brunt of the blame on this. I also kind of blame like the community as a whole, because like this card in, 5 years ago would not have had the breakage that we're seeing, right? Like, part of growing the credit card community is people learn how to do things that are not explicitly said you can't, and they do them. And now, look, I'm not saying banks are your friends. They're not. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do things to maximize your benefits if you want to. I'm not saying that at all. But the level that people are willing to go to break things, I think is changing how credit cards can be rolled out. I think that's partly the reason we're seeing so many things like, well, I'm sure we'll get to the United cards at some point tonight. I'm sure there's a rant incoming. But I think we're seeing those coupons on there because there's only so many ways you can break those, right? Like there's not nearly as much breakage for a coupon book as there is for these, credits that can be used once a year or, these other workarounds. So I think the coupon book, as much as some of us like it, some of us don't, more people on the don't side, I think the coupon book is an attempt not to have the breakage that the community has been so good at showing people how to do.
Yep. Could you imagine if Smartly, like if US Bank had one ecosystem for points and that ecosystem for points could move points out for travel? I know.
Oh God.
I'm asking for the same sort of thing as competent White Sox management. I understand this. I do. But if they had one pool that could go to transfer partners, how much faster would Smartly have been broken than it was broken already?
You think with what we have in the community at that point, US Bank would be US broke?
I mean, the thing is, Smartly was always going to be cashback, right? That's the thing with Smartly. I think if the Altitude, Reserve, Connect, and Go could all pull points, I don't actually think it would be that big of a difference because of the categories, right? It would simplify things for US Bank. But I would see US Bank going more the Amex route with cashback, right? Amex's cashback is cordoned into its little pen. There might not actually be oxygen in the room at times of that pen, and the cards might choke out a little bit, but it's cordoned off. So you can't, do what I think Chase is more of an aberration, but Chase is so big that people sort of, if you don't know credit cards well, you assume every card like that can be used the way that Chase uses their cards.
Yes.
True.
Yeah. So Smartly, it's gonna they're going to restrict it in some way. I'm surprised that it didn't take as long as everyone thought it would. The fact that we broke a card in 6 months is kind of impressive, but also somewhat scary. And last question for Betty Curie is, why do people like Surpass versus Aspire? Surpass is the everyday card. If you were to do a 2-card setup, just Hilton, right? The Surpass is the everyday spend card. The Aspire card is the card that you take on the vacation because you're going to get slightly better return on restaurant spend, which is what you're going to primarily be eating on vacation. You're going to get the even higher return and the benefits at the hotel, and you'll get the 7 times points on rental cars, which you're going to rent the car anyway for the vacation. I believe it also gives you airlines. Please hold me accountable.
There's a travel. It's direct with travel. Airlines.
Okay.
I think rental cars too.
Yeah.
The Aspire is the platinum and the Surpass is the gold card, to coordinate to 2 other Amex cards.
Yeah.
The Aspire is the perks card and the Surpass is the cards where you're going to earn most of your points, like Matt was saying. I think if you're somebody who, there are people who stay at Hilton who do not necessarily care about free night certificates. They're great. They can be very useful, but somebody like me, right? There's not a lot of really, really nice Hiltons around me outside of New York City. So for me, a free night certificate is cool, but if I only have one of them and I don't want to pay through the nose to go to New York City to stay at one or to go to DC, it's not super useful on its own, right? I have an IHG ambassador weekend cert that I'm excited to use, but I have to buy another night, which is what it is. So I'm getting basically a vacation for half price there, but it's only one night. So it's not like it's not like a 5th night free where I'm staying for 4 nights. I have points for 4 nights and then I'm getting that night free. So I think if you're not into necessarily the free night cert, you might get it on the Surpass because you get it after 15,000. If you're putting that much spend on it, you're good. but it's not necessarily the point of the card, where point accumulation really is where the Surpass shines. More the perk side and the free nights are sort of where the Aspire shine.
Yeah. The Surpass having Hilton Gold is no slouch, but it's going to be your everyday card on dining and grocery, online spend, and gas. But if you travel internationally with the Surpass, you're going to be just collecting 3x points everywhere. Double says, hey y'all, on dad duty tonight, so can't stick around long, but great to see y'all live. Thank you so much, Double. I like that we've coined the term dad duty on the show. M2K, what is an underrated way of generating normal spend? I would say just having that 2x, starting with that 2x base, and then if you have cards that can get higher than 2x base, whether it's Bank of America's premium rewards, preferred rewards program, being like platinum honors with that and getting the 2.62% elevated floor, smartly like the no. Here's what I'll say with smartly. If you have between $5,000 and $49,999, it's 2.5, right? 2.5 is still really solid. Then the 50K to 100K, that's 3, which is also fantastic, right? So like some of those programs are great. The Alliant card, which requires some at least $1,000 in their checking account, at least 2 deposits, and spend of less than $10,000 a month, that's going to get you 2.5 as well. So like you can raise that floor.
I guess I can't have that card, under 10,000 a month. I don't know how I could stay there.
Some of us will have issues with that, yes. But the underrated way of generating normal spend, there's that. There's also just general point stacking. Like, that 2% card can still generate, a good amount of cash back in the form of statement credits at places you typically shop at. Just check your offers on your card. Bank of America, US Bank, Chase, American Express, they all have statement credit options on their cards. And they're usually in places that people will shop at every day. So there's that. There's going to be things like Rakuten. There's going to be Top Cashback. There is cashback, like using cashback monitoring, using any of the associated shopping portals. They're all going to be the same stores, but you will get that extra little juice as well.
I think one way that you really have to plan this out, and we talked about this on the show. The Q&A was out Wednesday this week because I can't tell my files apart. But is like have a budget, because here's the thing. When you aren't spending a ton, sometimes you get lost in where your money is going, right? Like you're paying your bills, you're doing different things like that, but you're not really cognizant of where everything is going, right? So, you might be putting more in one area than you're actually realizing it. And if you get a card that gives you better benefits for that area, you might see your points sort of blow up that way more naturally. Hotel cards, certain hotels like IHG and Hilton are coming to mind specifically. Like their cards are strong to begin with. So if you get a card like that, if you're a hotel person for those chains, like you don't necessarily have to have a high multiplying card to transfer over. Now you are locking yourself into those ecosystems, but for me, locking myself into Hilton is never going to be a problem. Like how I travel, where I'm traveling, Hilton is always going to be a viable option. They might switch between first and second at some point. Don't know the future, but they're always going to be in the mix, right? They're always going to be one or two. So I don't mind having my backup, catch-all card being my Surpass. So finding those ones that have a base 3x, that can cover a multitude of things. If you're buying gas, if you're buying groceries, different things like that. So yeah, I think knowing what you're spending money on helps. Also, if you live with roommates, you're like, hey, I will buy the groceries and then we will, split it on Venmo or PayPal or whatever. Like there are ways to do that. If you live with your parents, mom, dad, Venmo me for dinner, or mom, give me the $50 bill that you were going to pay dinner with and I'll put it on my card. Like, those are sort of cliche, but I think all three of us at some point have bought dinner for a large group and then had the fun of going to each and every one of them and make sure we get our money back, right? We've all had those moments. I have a lot of friends that don't even like reach for their wallet anymore and just like grab their phone and send me the money when we go out, because I've beaten them down to the point where they know that my card is coming out, and then they'll send me whatever. So, those are pretty easy things, right? It's sort of free in terms of you're not paying necessarily any more than you would have. You're just getting the things in different places. So, sometimes to have less spend and to be in a lower socioeconomic bracket to play this game, you have to be more creative. And I think that is ultimately the key there.
Yep. Double asks, where do you think Chase is headed given these United changes? Do you think this is representative of Chase as a whole, or just the United cards? I think yes. No, I think most of these are going to be, the onerousness of some of these changes is going to be more on the United side. Chase has historically been more freewheeling and letting you having more general like spend category with the travel credit on the Sapphire Reserve, right? That is just $300 in travel. Doesn't matter how you do your travel, it's $300 in travel. So I think they're going to keep that with the Sapphire Reserve. But I do think you're going to see some more restrictions on, if they take the Sapphire Preferred, bump it up to $150, $250, and then they make the hotel credit on that, move it from $50 to say $150, it'll be like $75 on your first purchase in the travel portal. It'll be $75 on your second purchase in the travel portal. So like they might institute that. I wouldn't love that, but if it means a better Sapphire Preferred, I would almost make that trade, assuming I would get a Sapphire Preferred. But
one Sapphire will probably stay.
Is Sapphire Preferred your way? Like, is it your Moby Dick? Is the Sapphire Preferred your Moby Dick?
No, it's more
like
it's more my Newman.
It feels like it haunts you. Like, I feel like at night you just lie up at bed and look at the ceiling and just like dream of ways you can like take a sword and just cut the Sapphire Preferred in half.
Which is crazy because he has the Sapphire Reserve. Like, the Sapphire Preferred should just be like an irrelevant afterthought to him.
It largely is, but then like some horrible neighbor of mine burst through my door unexpectedly, like every couple of days with some new harebrained scheme, and his mailman friend just happens to show up, and that's the Sapphire Preferred.
It's fine. Tariq and I both have the Sapphire Preferred, and we haven't died yet. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, we're breathing. We're okay.
I have a pulse and everything.
Like,
Brownways, hello. So yeah, do you think Chase is going to do some more coupons, like the Lyft credit, like the rideshare credit? I could see coming to the other Chase cards. The Instacart credit I could see coming to the other Chase cards. The hotel credit, the way that they broke it down on the United cards, I don't think you're going to see that necessarily, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did.
Amen.
I think that. Go ahead, Drake.
Jump scare.
I think the challenge with any time a co-brand gets a refresh is you don't actually know what is from the company and what is from the co-brand, right? Because if you're United, you can also look at Amex and Delta and be like, Delta is the most successful co-brand airline cards ever. Like, flat out, they are just incredibly popular, incredibly well used. We talk about the GDP percentage. That's just insane, right? So if you're United, you look at those cards and go, I'll have what she's having. Like, I will, and by and large, a lot of it is similar to the Delta cards. I think the reason that the Delta cards are in the Amex ecosystem, so I think a lot of us don't pay attention to, to the credits and to different things like that. I used a state credit 2 weeks ago, and I stayed at a Courtyard. It was fine. Like, y'all know I hate portals, but it is what it is, right? Like if it's a low stakes trip, I don't mind using a portal when I'm close to home. Because the worst thing, I just get in my car and drive back home. Like it's not the end of the world, or I go to a different hotel in the area, or I go to a relative's house. You know what I mean? Like it's not a make or break situation. So that was easy. It was real easy. Got the $200. Amex is a little slow right now, but is what it is. And I think United looked at those and said, but why not that? Like, why can't we have something that is similar that like people have been desensitized to? So I don't know how much of that is United looking at Delta. I don't know how much is Chase looking at Amex. I don't know how much it is just United and Chase being in a room together and coming up with this, right? Convergent evolution of credits on cards.
I mean, I'm curious just because there's a lot of pressure from Southwest to start driving up card swipes as well, and Chase and Southwest are co-brands. So that's a curious one. But yeah, for the most part with United, I don't know how many people have the Quest. I mean, I'm sure that's like their road warrior, like their main travel card. People actually are gonna like put the swipes on it. Like if my company that I was working for was reimbursing my flights, I'd get the Quest just because it's the sweet spot. The Explorer, most people with the Explorer, they get the free check bag, they get the club passes, and they may put the spend on like a couple of flights on there, but it's not like they're using that card every day. Because let's be honest, we talked about it on the pod many times. Not hotel cards, airline cards suck when it comes to spend.
Yeah,
they suck. Like, why would you get 2x United miles on a dining when you can get 3x Chase points that you can transfer to United, or 3x Bilt points?
I mean, I think the answer to that is if you don't care about the game and just care about United miles, you might be willing to take that, right? Like
that is true.
I have friends who travel, not work, so it's not reimbursed, right? So it's just their personal travel. And they put stuff on co-brands all the time. Like that I sort of like raise my eyebrow at, and they're like, I don't want to get a Sapphire, whatever. Like I don't want to have to deal with transferring points. I don't want to have to deal with booking through a portal. I rather just have like if I want a United, if I'm gonna fly United or I'm gonna fly Delta or I'm gonna fly whoever, I just rather have a Delta card, use it with Delta, and then not have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's valid.
So I think there are a lot more people like that, right? There are a lot more people who just don't want like we all are so used to the complexity that I don't think we all realize how complex this stuff is unless you enjoy it. Like if you hate the travel game but like to travel, this is obnoxious. This all is obnoxious. And I think that's the difference is we all like it, maybe begrudgingly at times, but we all like it. So we're willing to transfer points and wait for bonuses and do interesting things. And a lot of people either don't know, don't care, or don't have time.
Yep. True.
Just wanted to highlight from chatting, late to the party, but glad I made it. Welcome. Glad to have you. We'll go back to another question from Betakiri, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name. How do you think a premium Hyatt card, what do you think a premium Hyatt card would look like? When do you think they'd release it? Tariq, I will go to you as the resident Hyatt fanboy on the pod.
This question was planted by Tariq, I'm pretty sure, for his wish casting.
I will say, before I make my answer, just make sure you're subscribed to Matt's channel. Matt and I actually did talk about a premium Hyatt and IHG card. It was a 2-part thing we did. The first part was just me bitching about Southwest for like half an hour because I no longer feel the love. But if I can even find my notes for that, I think we talked about like a $550 annual fee, but at this point, $650 might be in the realm after what Chase and United did with this.
You got to chase a high-end card, $695 across the board, basically.
Yeah, at this point, it's in the realm of possibility now. But I would love to see just Explorist, even though there isn't much of a difference that most people will say between Discoverist and Explorist, I think there's enough to justify the higher annual fee. And I can't remember how many credits that we talked about, but like additional free night credits that would push the jump to make it easier to get Globalist, but still be the grind to Globalist, because Globalist is a grind. I think it's 60 nights. unless you're going to get the spend, and that's with you still have to get, and that's including the spend on the business and the personal, which is why if you have both, 9 times out of 10, you're probably trying to go for globalist, and Hyatt's going to be the only hotel that you stay at. But I don't know when that they'll release it. Knowing Chase, it'll be February 30th, 2026.
Could be 2026 at this point. We were going to
catch the February 30th bit.
Yes, I did the February 30th.
I know you did, but I don't. Matt did not react to February 30th.
I don't remember if I kept it. It wasn't something that I went in myself and deleted. But
no. He just said February 30th, 2026, and you glossed right over the February 30th part and just hit the 26th.
Oh, well, yeah.
It ain't happening.
He's like, yeah, sounds right.
Sounds right. I mean, it's Hyatt. How much do we love them? The Rewards Master. And the Rewards Master has another point I'm going to jump up to. I'm jumping around tonight. So
that's fine.
Sorry. Rewards Master, and definitely check out the Rewards Master channel. He does really great in-depth stuff. Definitely give him a watch. Does the co-brands aren't as good as transferable cards argument apply to American Airlines? Their miles can't be obtained through a partner and are very, very valuable. Are they an exception? I'm going to go with, for now, yes. Until we find out what's happening with Citi and American Airlines, because Citi is going to be the exclusive partner, the exclusive issuing partner. We don't know yet if they're going to become a transfer partner. So there is that distinction, and this time there is a difference. So I would say American Airlines for now is the exception. If they become a transfer partner, then you may want to math it, because the Citi Strata Premier versus the American Airlines Advantage Platinum Select World Elite MasterCard, the like $99 one. It's not a great earner for in general, but it does earn AA miles, and it gets the bonus of those being AA miles. Whereas the Strata Premier is points. 3 times. Yeah, and loyalty points. The loyalty points could play a bigger part. And that is another part of the calculation that I'm not sure we put into effect with like some other cards and co-brands. Like the higher tier cards with Delta and United do get spend toward PQPs with United and spend toward MQDs with Delta, but because of the rate that it is, it's not the same as American Airlines, where 1 mile equals 1 loyalty point. So the loyalty points, if you value American Airlines, will play a little bit different in your calculation versus a transferable currency. So until they're transferable currency, I'm going to say that they're the exception. I'm willing to be proven, or I'm willing to be wrong here, but I do think there are some additional layers with American Airlines that don't apply with other other co-branded cards.
Can I give a hot take?
Sure.
I think that statement is bullshit. I think co-brands aren't as good as transferable cards is so subjective that it's absolute bullshit. Because it depends on who you are. If you're somebody who's a Hilton loyalist, 34 times on Hilton is going to be 3x on a green card every day of the week and 17 times on Sunday. Like it just is. And I know I'm picking like the most extreme example, right? But also like you get, 7x on Hilton for flights, which is not slightly off of the 5x for the platinum. But why do you want to hold both, right? Like if you're not somebody who cares about lounge access or flies a lot, like maybe that card with just the general travel category is what you want. Like I think co-brands aren't as good as transferable cards to YouTubers who want to sell you aspirational travel might be correct. But it really depends on who you are and how you're traveling. Like if you're an IHG loyalist and you have the top IHG card, that might be more valuable to you than a Chase Freedom Unlimited, right? Like how you spend depends on your spend category. Are you a business traveler? Are you a personal traveler? Do you have a family? Do you like saying just in general? And yes, Matt and I disagree on how important cash outable points are. And that's just a personal disagreement on how valuable that is in the grand scheme. I don't think it's zero value. I think there is some value to it. but I also don't treat points like that. So that is a difference between him and I when it comes to. And Tariq, I don't know if we've ever gotten a where do transferable points being able to be cashed out matter to you. I don't think we have a number for you on that scale yet. Are you closer to Matt or me on that scale, sir?
I guess I'm closer to you. I will say the only points that I have consistently cashed out are thank you points, just because I don't.
Because they're thank you points.
They're thank you points. Yeah. Plus, after having Key on the pod and her telling us that they expire after, I think it was like, a year? I'm definitely cashing out those
2, points. But it might be, yeah.
Either way, whether it's 1 year or 2 years, I don't plan on saving thank you points because I just have a custom cash. And I'll be honest, I don't use it very often now.
Yeah.
So
the custom cash does you nothing. Like that really, unless you're using it as cashback, that custom cash is not doing you any favors.
Yeah, and it's only if you can find a way to get close to maxing it out. The reason why I maxed it out was because we got the Beyonce concert tickets, and we did it through Citi Entertainment because we had early access. And I was like, yeah, that was like $700 for 3 tickets. So yeah, we maxed out that category. But I don't plan on using the card again unless I can find a way to get close to the 500 threshold that it makes it worth something, because my IHG is for gas. I have the Blue Cash Preferred for groceries, and I could use it for live entertainment purchases, but I don't use it very often enough for live entertainment when I can just use the Saver, which covers like all entertainment.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
But I understand why YouTube and some people talk about transferable points as more real. And like if you fly a lot, then yeah, the Platinum is probably a better card for you than the Aspire when it comes to flights.
Yeah.
But if you don't, if you're the Tariq of flying, it probably won't help you as much, right? Like it as so many things in this community go, it really depends, and making statements like that aren't necessarily as helpful as people like to think. Also, hi Key.
Yeah, it's not gospel necessarily. I do think if you're going to live in that argument, there are some exceptions to the rule, or like if you're going to make the rule.
If you're a free agent, like if it's you or Spaithco, then yeah, I understand why you want transferable. If you're somebody like maybe Tariq or I who have more commitment in terms of brand loyalty, but I think for both of us, it's just so we can pool the amount of points we have, right? Like I stay where I stay and I fly where I fly so I can get as much in that ecosystem so I can use them more effectively. If I had work travel and I had a mountain of, points, I might be willing to do different things. So it depends.
Yep. No, absolutely. Also from the rewards master, going back to the Aspire free night certificate is most useful for aspirational nights and resorts locations for 1,000+ value. I wouldn't make it math out if I only travel domestically. And absolutely good point. Like, and that's the beauty of the Hilton. Like the only free night certificates that I really value worth anything are Hilton for that reason, because you can book, the terrible Hilton Garden Inn if in a pinch because you're an idiot and you forgot that your free night certificate's about to expire. I wouldn't know anything about that. No, of course. Or you can book the Conrad, the Waldorf.
You are that close to New York City and you're like, let me go to a Hilton Garden Inn.
It was more...
Sir.
What was they going to expire tomorrow or something?
Basically.
Matt, this is so here's a difference between if you are from upstate and if you're from downstate. This is a perfect example. I think of the city differently than Matt thinks of. Matt thinks of the city as an annoyance. I think of the city. I agree. It is. I think of Albany the way Matt thinks of New York City. Like it is something that has to be dealt with as least as possible.
Me with Austin.
Versus, and you with Austin, like you got to deal with it when you got to deal with it, but you don't want to. Like New York City, I don't love going to the city. I do love the pizza when I go to the city and the bagels.
Look,
I love the
bread and pizza that's worth the damn is in New York City.
Cannot have the pizza. I cannot have the bagels anymore.
I know.
So that doesn't help.
Jersey
Two,
has some okay pizza. I will give them that. There's actually a great barbecue place in New Jersey. Speaking of Treeks Love a Barbecue, it's by veterans. It's called Red, White, and Q. I used to get it when I went to games at Rutgers.
I think we talked about that, but even still,
Anyway, sorry,
No,
Matt.
the only reason why I really used it was my partner's nephew was with them. We were looking for just like any place with a pool, and this was not a reservation that was let me take my partner to the Waldorf, let me take my partner to the Conrad. This was just a let me spare their sanity for a night.
Which is fair. I don't know if I would use a free night certificate on that.
I normally wouldn't, but it was there and it was expiring, and I felt that it was either do that then or lose out on the free night. And I feel like I would be judged harsher for losing the free night than just burning it the way that I did.
You would.
Did the Hilton Garden Inn know how to handle a free night certificate? Because I can't imagine they get a lot.
It wasn't actually a Hilton Garden Inn, it was a Hampton Inn. And yes, because I called the number that you call for the free night certificate. They took care of it.
Okay. Just
slight
just
update
wondering
on that Red, White, and Q. I will give them a pass because their menu says Texas style brisket. So now I got to fly to Township, New Jersey.
It is legitimately very good. They give you those old like metal trays from like the 50s, and they have the paper on it, and then it's so good. You can't
associate 50s and good with me. Just letting you know.
Food, like the cafeteria. Treek, this is live. Just remember that.
Anyway, nope, that's fair. Going back, Keith, I've not ignored this question, but which issuer will release their premium travel card first, Citi or Wells, and are you placing bets? I'm going to go with, so I've been hearing like this, I've been seeing a lot of weird chatter when it comes to Citi, which makes me think that they're possibly getting their stuff in order to take care of getting their travel card released, or they're trying to clear the runway in order to get American Airlines to say yes to being a transfer partner. It's one of the two, and I don't know which it is. Wells, I think they've got everything lined up to do it. I think they're just frantically trying to get 5 more transfer partners to sign up.
I think if Wells releases a card without different transfer partners or more transfer partners, they're going to get torn apart. Like they will get eviscerated.
Yeah.
My bet is Citi is going to drop the Strata Elite on April 20th.
It is Easter. Yeah.
Is that a Sunday?
It is a Sunday. Yes. It is Easter Sunday, actually.
Yeah. No, that I mean, Mother's Day is right around the corner.
They could wait.
They could do that to Mother's Day too. That was
Mother's Day is just right there.
that was a good one last year.
Break my damn brain.
I think if Citi,
it'll be a nothing burger if that's the case.
I think Citi is waiting for AA and figuring out what American is going to do. I think Wells is figuring out what they have to land somebody. The problem is, like, we can joke about Hyatt, right? But I don't think they're going to land Hyatt.
No.
So,
but if they did, that would be really good for you. Very good for me.
But I don't know who they could land. I don't know who realistically, like I can wish cast, right? But I don't know who realistically they can land.
So they need one more hotel partner primarily.
They need a big hotel partner. They need a real, like, I like Choice, but they need a real hotel partner. They need a Hilton, Marriott, IHG. Like, they need something on that level.
So of those, if you say that they need one of those 3, the one to target would be IHG.
Yeah, IHG.
Yes.
I think another interesting option would be I Prefer and try to negotiate the exchange rate that Citi just got. And get another option at 1 and have an option at 1 to 4. But I don't know that I Prefer. I don't know if I Prefer has any exclusivity with Citi based on, the transfer rate and how long ago they signed that contract, because that was only launched in the last year.
I also just don't. I think from a PR, from a people who know the name without having to look it up.
Yeah.
I don't think I Prefer carries that water. Do I think I Prefer for people like us would work? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think if you don't have, you don't have Hilton or Marriott, like if you don't have something of that level where you can go anywhere and find a Hilton or Marriott, you can go almost anywhere and find some form of an IHG, probably a Holiday Inn Vacation or whatever they're calling them now, right?
Yep.
That is what you need to like. That is the difference between Delta, United, American, and Southwest. The legacy carriers versus that one that really wishes you could pretend they were. Like, I think that's what Wells needs. Like, Wells is Southwest right now. Like, different financial situation, but they are the one trying to become on the same level. And to be on the same level, you have to play in the same sandbox. And if you don't have a big kid hotel partner,
Yep.
you don't. Like, I think it is less important that they have a domestic airline partner than a major hotel partner. Because as much as I just can't play the book this instead of that, and it's really a United flight or whatever, I just can't do it where I fly. You stay in more hotels than flights you take, right? So I think more people would benefit and more people would understand it from a hotel side. Would I love them to get a hotel, an airline partner of one of the big three? Sure, but there is no place for that right now.
They're spoken for at the moment in
They
some
are.
form.
The seismic shift. If Delta or United left Amex or Chase, we would have a year and a half of content just on that. Like, it would be shocking. It would be seismic. Even if they just like nothing happened, but they just switched partners. Like the amount
that'd be like in basketball terms, it would be the Mavericks trading Luka Doncic to the Lakers.
I mean, that happened, so who knows?
JetBlue would be the best.
As long as Wells gets a 1-to-1 rate with JetBlue, yes. If they're getting a rate at the same rate that, Capital One is negotiating, because I don't know how drunk they are negotiating with transfer partners, but 5-3 is was just embarrassing.
Ew.
Yeah, it's weird to me. Like, it's always weird to me when it's not 1-to-1. Like 1-to-2 with Amex to Hilton makes sense, right? You're getting quote a better deal, but it's always weird when it's not at least equal, if not a little bit better, to transfer the points out.
Yeah, 2-to-1 with the core is also like another oddball one, but like the math actually maths out on that, but it's weird. In this vein, Reward Master, will the Strata Elite be a clone of my Prestige card, better or worse?
Worse.
It be worse. Like it kind of has to be
worse with a higher annual fee.
If it's equal, the annual fee is going to make it less mathy. Like, they have to. I think if
just what, $450?
The Prestige was $495.
$495. Yeah, that's going to go at least $550. I feel like it's like a sweet spot for annual fees.
If Alaska Hawaii goes to Wells, I don't know if Matt's excitement, like just from a landing the big plane excitement, is going to be containable.
It'd be fun.
The videos would be great. I just want it for the content.
I think we'd see him crack a smile.
So, Strata Elite clone of the Prestige, better or worse? I don't know that you're going to get a straight clone. You're going to get like, I think where they're going to start is where they were when Prestige was taken out of public circulation. So like, yeah, you still got those 2 fourth night frees twice a year, but you did have to book through the portal. The annual fee is going to go up. I don't know that they would keep 5x dining. They might, but see where the inflation track would be from when the Prestige was last publicly available and like add up what inflation would look like. And that's probably where the annual fee would start if they wanted to just keep it as a clone of Prestige. But I think they can do about the same. Maybe the value prop would be a little bit worse.
I would even go as far as to say, if you have the Citi Prestige and when they drop the Strata Elite, they might just automatically product change you.
Yeah.
They
might.
It's a Citi
thing. It's a Citi thing.
They might just take the Prestige and name it the Strata Elite and
You just get a new card in the mail. They're not even gonna email you. Just get a new card in the mail.
Happy Mother's Day.
What's worse, it'll be even worse quality plastic than the Strata Premier.
I think that the interesting thing about, us talking about the Wells card, us talking about the Citi card is, I wonder how much Chase and Amex, not that I think Chase or Amex are particularly bothered by these cards, but I think they want those to go before their refreshes, because I don't think that Amex or Chase want to have their cards, quote, overshadowed by these new cards. I think they want Wells and Citi to go first, see what they've done, see how much they can price themselves higher. Because I don't think any of us or anybody in the chat are under the illusion that the Sapphire Reserve and the Amex Platinum are not going to have higher annual fees on their next refresh. No. They're going to.
Yes.
Forget the gold and forget the green and the Sapphire Preferred. We all, like, as far as travel cards, talking about sort of the top dogs here, right? Like, Amex and Chase want the little dogs to go first so they can sort of pee on the fence, right? Like, they want to be the final say. They want to see what everybody else has done and then be the final say. So I think we're going to see refreshes of the Sapphire. I think they're going to do a big refresh of the Platinum for the 50th. So I think they have to do another refresh before they can do that one, because it's too long of a gap if they don't do any refresh between now and the 50th. So I think one is coming soon.
850.
I think the 50th will have $1,000 annual fee. So I think they're going to have a step, and then there'll be the big step at 50. That's my very simple prediction there. But yeah, I think before we get the Platinum and the Reserve, we have to get these two. So I think Chase and Amex are like, please, like, we got stuff to do. Can you just get these cards out?
Sooner would be better. Yeah. If they're waiting until summer, then that's going to push Amex and Chase probably, because Amex and Chase are also waiting for each other.
Yes.
Like, Chase doesn't want to go before Amex. Amex doesn't want to go before Chase.
It's like a game of chicken.
They would rather wait to see what Wells and Citi. And I think between the three, I think they're more interested in what Wells ends up doing than Citi, just because Citi played in this sandbox before and Citi had to leave. And so, like, second time, it's
And Cap One is just off in a corner trying to figure out if it can have Discover or not, because it keeps being told different answers.
Yeah. More on that later. Double came back for this one. Sad to be logging off before I hear the answer, but I'll catch the replay. What trauma did Tariq suffer that his taste in burgers is what it is?
You know what? We're going to talk about this real quick. One, I'm from Texas, obviously.
Really?
I was born in Corpus Christi,
no idea.
birthplace in Whataburger. And three, I actually went. I was at a conference when I was in high school, a DECA conference in Orange County, and I took an Uber after the conference let out for the day for lunch. It was actually for lunch. Took an Uber to an In-N-Out because I wanted to try an In-N-Out in Orange County, California, because I wanted to be unbiased. Went there, got the burger. It was all right. Fries were depressing, and I'm like, I would have done better at a Whataburger, because Thousand Island on a burger is okay, but I like better burgers. Now, I'll be honest, Pete Terry's clears Whataburger every day and twice on Sundays, and that's just me coming from somebody that's had both. But Whataburger is also 24 hours, and Whataburger has a honey butter chicken biscuit, so I give them a pass.
I need a Dr. Pepper milkshake. Like, that's what I need in my life right now, because I had one when I was in Texas at a Whataburger, and it was the most delightful thing I've ever had.
I think right now it's the Mexican hot chocolate milkshake, so you're going to have to wait. But Pete Terry's, if you go back there, they have the root beer shake, which is a lot better in my opinion.
There is I'm hunting for an Intercontinental because I have a cert, and there is one at Riverwalk. So
yes, I have seen that one.
There is a chance. There is a chance. I just am going to come to San Antonio for 2 nights just to, like, be able to use that cert. And if I do, I will get Whataburger, but I'll wait till the Dr. Pepper shake comes back so I can fly down, get the shake, get the Whataburger, go on the Riverwalk again, because I have done it once. It was great. And then fly home. And hopefully see treacle in there. Like that would also be nice.
If you coordinate it so that like one of those nights is a Monday night, like then you could just do the pod in the same vicinity as Tariq. That would be interesting.
That would be cool.
As previously mentioned, we do have Key checking in with us for a little bit. Thank you so much, Key. Keith chimed in with Matt. I used a free night certificate at a Hilton Garden Inn. Don't let RJ shame you. It was an event weekend, and the Hilton Garden Inn was one of the only rooms left in the area, and they wanted $500. So yeah, if the hotel is extorting you with the price,
yeah,
burn the FNC.
Fair.
Yeah, that's fine. Also, we mentioned Keith with the Alaska, Hawaii to Wells, two West Coast companies. That would be fun. The cheeky question of what would happen if Tariq signed up for the new Citi card right now would probably burst into flames.
I would do it on Mother's Day just to see what they would do.
That's Rewards Master, no, don't product change me. I love my prestige. I know you love the prestige. I just can't promise that
Citi doesn't care that they love your prestige.
Yeah,
Matt, I know one of your big pet peeves in life is zombie cards.
Yes.
If you could Thanos snap, even though people love some of the cards that have been zombified, and this would technically include the Altitude Reserve, if you had the power to Thanos snap all ghost cards, would you use that power, knowing how upset several friends of the pod would be to lose their Altitude Reserve?
He would just be happy. He would be happy because he could get rid of the Citi dividend. The Citi dividend would die in Matt's hands. And that enough would make him say yes.
It's a lot of power to hold him.
But he would have so many people in our own Discord, and make sure you all join the Discord. He would have so many people with Altitude Reserves. Spaceco might just show up with like a hockey skate from Minnesota and just end Matt if he did this. I'm just saying.
Look,
this is entirely possible.
The
yeah.
Citi dividend card and the Sears card are just those two cards right there are enough for Matt to say yes.
Yeah.
Sears card is going away. The Sears thank you card is going away. So there's that. Would I Thanos snap it? I would have to think long and hard if I would snap. I don't know that I would Thanos snap all of them, just because the hilarity that is US Bank having the Baskin Robbins approach to point systems is still kind of funny to me. Even if I Thanos snap them, they would still exist with the Baskin Robbins. So yeah. No, I don't know.
I have a free scoop. I need to use. I have 2 free scoops actually.
I don't know. That's a lot of power to put in my hands. I don't know that I trust myself to do that.
That is a lot of power to put in your hands. And yet I just put it in your hands. So yeah. I expect an answer before the end of this recording.
For the good of my life, just because of what would happen to me if I did it, I'm going to go with no. But it would be so very, very tempting.
Okay, but what if nobody knew you were the one who Thanos snapped it? What if it just happened?
Oh, probably.
Okay. Yeah. Just we know where Matt's true loyalties lie now, guys.
Chatting with a Chase punched me in the face today by denying my application for the United Airlines business card. It's clear they just hate people in Texas.
It's that doggone DFW airport. They think we're American loyalists or something. I blame Kit Kat.
He's not even here to defend himself on the pod.
I'm not sure Kit Kat is the culprit here, sir.
I don't know. It's between that. The only other person I want to blame is not somebody I want to blame because I love my girlfriend's mother.
Subasist with talking about Citi. Why is Matt not in the Citi ecosystem? Is a 1-to-1 with JetBlue, and they have multipliers that cover all the basics. They do. They have a card they have a grocery card, which is nice. They technically have 2 grocery cards with the Citi Custom Cash, and they are 1-to-1 with JetBlue. Chase is 1-to-1 with JetBlue. I have a JetBlue card. I like using mobile wallet is kind of one of the biggest things. Also, Citi, for whatever reason, likes to, as from experiences with my family, I've noticed that Citi likes to flag lots of things as fraud. They're very particular about flagging things as fraud, and I don't necessarily want to have to call my bank every 5 to 10 days to cover myself. Now, is that going to be the case for everyone? No, absolutely not. Realistically, I just chose Chase. I like the Chase, like the big boy travel card from Chase. Chase is 1-to-1 with JetBlue. I've had a long-term relationship with Wells Fargo, and yes, like loyalty doesn't matter in this game, but Wells, aside from grocery, has just about everything that Citi offers, and now offers no annual fee points transfer. Whereas Citi, I either have to get less return for my points or pay a $95 service fee with a better card, with an objectively better card than the Sapphire Preferred, but I still have to pay an annual fee to get full transfer.
So let me ask you a question, Matt, because
Yep.
I'm always curious when people talk about, this ecosystem doesn't have this specific category, right? And like grocery is, for most people, grocery is an objectively big
It's a
part
big
of their
one.
spend, right?
Yes.
And I'm not trying to downplay grocery as a category, right?
No.
But you can get 1.5 on just use the Freedom Unlimited, right? Like you can get more than 1%. You can get more than 1% on everything because of that 1.5, right? But if they change the Sapphire Preferred or even the Sapphire Reserve to just get 2x on grocery to shut everybody up, not that I think Chase cares, but if for some reason they did, like, do you think they would have to go to 3%, or do you think they could just do 2% to say, guys, we gave you a grocery category? I don't know what you like. It feels almost like it doesn't, unless they give you an elevated one to compete with the gold. And I don't mean just you, but like in general, give people something to compete with the gold. People aren't going to be happy about a grocery category.
With Chase, I don't think people will ever be happy with a grocery category. And if I was Chase, I would sidestep that completely. Don't worry about grocery and just go to mobile wallet, because now you've got grocery, you've got warehouse, you've got everything else covered with mobile wallet at a higher earning structure than 1.5 or 2. Like, how many people would sign up for a Sapphire Preferred that had 2.5% mobile wallet?
What would you cap at that at? Because there's no way not to cap a quote unlimited 2.5%. Do you cap it at 10? Do you cap it at 20? Like, where you gotta cap it at something.
At 95, you got to cap it at something. At 150, you probably have to cap it a little bit higher. But like, let's say they took that card. Let's say they went super crazy and went straight to 250 with the Sapphire Preferred. Like, you could do 2.5% mobile wallet on up to what, $100,000 in spend.
I don't think they would ever do 250,000 UR points
On
like
mobile wallet.
No, there's no way. Like,
but they'd also give away 225,000 on 3 ink cards. Like, they're tightening the ink. They're tightening ink approvals, yes, but 375,000 point welcome offers.
Those are welcome offers. You're not talking about a welcome offer. You're talking about a card that I could use every single year and get a guaranteed 250 if I maxed out. Like, there's no way they're going to do that. Like, if they did something like the Blue Business Plus and it's, 25 or 50,000, I can see it. But there's no way they can do 100,000 on a card that's guaranteed. Like, even if they made it the Sapphire Reserve annual fee, that does not math for them in any respect. Like, Hyatt would have a stroke.
Well, again, this presupposes that Hyatt stays on award chart. Like, I'm not thinking about Hyatt anymore at that point, just because where Hyatt is
but
going.
you can't cap mobile wallet at 100,000 with their current transfer partners the way things are. Like, yes, do I realize things would change? Yeah. But you can't cap it at 100,000 and not have United and Hyatt and everybody lose their minds, because new cards and welcome bonuses are not even part of this conversation. Like, you're just saying, here's 250,000 points if you spend $100,000 every year.
That's fair, but like, how many people are putting? Well, there'd be more people.
Look at the Smartly card. You have to put $100,000 with U.S. Bank, And more people than US Bank ever thought would sign up for this card with $100,000 in their accounts have broken this card.
I retract. Yeah, there would be a certain amount of breakage. No, that's fair. If Chase really wanted to mess with, from Keith, if Chase really wanted to mess with Amex, they'd release a grocery card to compete with the gold card. They had their Sapphire Preferred. It was right there, and they could have taken the Sapphire Preferred up to 150. They could have taken it up to 250. I don't know that they're going to. But they would. It's Chase. They would keep it at 3, and then if they pushed it up to 3, if they gave you 3, and went to 250, the automatic response from the community would just be, "Why didn't you do 4?"
The community, yes, but I think
most normal people wouldn't care.
It's hard. So for me, it's hard really to circle the square on how quote powerful the community is, right? Because the community accounts for a lot of breakage, but I don't know how much the community accounts for in terms of actual like power, right? Like we feel like Matt's gonna hate me for this, but in some ways we feel like the Tea Party of 2008, right? Like we're very loud, we're going to break things, but ultimately I don't know how actually powerful we are.
All you need is one election cycle.
Yes, but you get my point, right? Like you understand what I'm saying with that.
Yeah, we're a very loud minority, and a minority within a minority of the credit card, like of the total credit card space. There's more people struggling with meeting their minimum payment or understanding what their minimum payment does than there are folks actively breaking credit cards and actively breaking issuers. But the people who are actively breaking issuers will get far more attention than the people who don't understand how their minimum payment system works.
Right. But
Because
even people who like credit cards but aren't us, like are a fairly small group to begin with, right? Like
yes.
So it feels in some ways that like we almost oversell some of this stuff. Like I don't actually know how many people outside of the community like mobile wallet is kind of a thing that a lot of people do, but an actual multiplier on, I don't know how much. It almost is like the Apple small phone problem of like a very vocal minority wants a small iPhone. And then Apple made a small iPhone and nobody bought a small iPhone. Like if they put mobile wallet, people will use it, but like our friends from work or whatever, how many of them would actually like know that that's actually a multiplier, right? Like they would just use it because that's how they use their card. And now they get all this extra benefit out of it.
Our friends from work would know only because we would tell them.
Well, yes, some of them. There are some people that I would not. I would be like, yeah, use your platinum for dinner. It's fine. Totally the right move. There are people I work with like that.
That is mean, RJ, but you know what? Those people have to exist to keep Amex points valuable.
Jordan Rules of Credit was checking in with us. Evening all. Definitely check out Jordan's channel. He's got a lot of cool stuff going on, especially with his utilizing credit cards to pay for his wedding and to fund future travel based off the payments that he's doing there. So definitely check him out. Sabasis, they could get away with 2x on grocery and justify it with, hey, but you'll get grocery at 5x 1 quarter a year. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of the Chase MO. I think they should move past grocery just because mobile wallet's far more all inclusive. But I do understand that, like, unless you're going to look at something like the Altitude Reserve annual fee as something justifiable for a elevated mobile wallet category, because they only go to 3 on mobile wallet.
Yeah.
Now it's an effective like redemption of 4.5 when you use real-time rewards for travel or you do redemptions through their reward center, but it is 3% earn. So I do think there's somebody else has to pick up mobile wallet as a more than 2%, because you can do 2% at no annual fee. Apple shows that.
I think if Amex did 2x mobile wallet on the platinum card, I don't think that like that would be fantastic, right? Like they could increase and look, do I want them to increase the annual fee? No. But they could increase it $100, put 2x mobile wallet on there, and people would lose their minds. Enjoy. Because the problem with the one of the glaring weaknesses of the Platinum is it's a great card for airlines and it's a terrible card for everything else, and it's got a lot of perks. If you could make that a 2x mobile wallet or even a 2.5, go to $900, make it 2.5 mobile wallet. Like I would be so thrilled.
2x mobile wallet, 2.5 on purchases over $5,000.
Okay, how many computers a year do you think I'm buying, Matt? Like, let's not.
I'm not worried about you.
Just saying. Come on now. Help a girl out.
You could have some local LLM farms on the homestead. I don't know.
Look, Matt, I try to only buy 1 to 7 computers a year, so let's not go crazy.
7 not enough, RJ?
Look, sometimes, but if I'm buying a base model, I'd have to buy them. It's anyway. But yeah, no, I think the Platinum card is the perfect card because the people who are using it to like buy dinner are not using mobile wallet. So you're not going to actually have as much adoption. You're going to have people like me who like, God, I'm going to be so obnoxious if they ever put mobile wallet on the Platinum card on the podcast. I'm telling you now.
I just want somebody out there to pick up mobile wallet as a category beyond Apple, beyond
Wells Fargo. Come on down.
Do you know how quickly I would sign up for Autograph Beyond? Going back a bit, sorry, Betty Curie, we missed this one. Are you guys more into aspirational travel or value travel? Right now, for me, value travel, but I want my value travel to be a mix of points and cash to build out for later aspirational travel. Like aspirational travel for me is going to be pretty much all points.
I think aspirational travel is stupid. Like, I think the idea of aspirational travel is dumb. Like, go where you want. Like, if it takes you a while to like save up for it, go where you want. Don't go to Bora Bora or the Mykonos or wherever because somebody on YouTube said you can do this redemption for like $15, chewing gum, and 1 billion points. Like the idea of taking a really cool trip, I think is different than the aspirational travel that is peddled on YouTube. That's why I don't like the term aspirational travel, not going to really cool places or like planning a once in a lifetime trip. To me, those are two separate things.
Okay. No, I can see where you're coming from.
One is a thing you want, right? Like I have said this before on the podcast. I want to do a big trip of Ireland and Scotland, right? Like that is where my family hails from originally. That is where I have a lot of family history. I've got some swords with some Jacobite blood on them and, you know, the Scottish museums. I'd like to, you know, see those and thank them for killing the English. But like, I would love to do that, right? For me, that is a really cool trip that will be very expensive and it will take me time to save up for it, right? But that's not aspirational travel to me because I'm not being sold it via an algorithm on YouTube because that's what's going to get people to click. So that's what's being pushed to me. Those two are different to me. I can only talk for me. I don't necessarily do value travel either. I just do the travel I want to do. And I think us categorizing everything into aspirational or value or budget or whatever, like makes people think that they can only do one thing or only one type of travel. Like just travel where you want. Pay cash for the stuff it makes sense to pay cash for. Use points for the stuff it makes sense to use points for. Live your life. To quote Lonnie, take the trip.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would love to do a lengthy trip to Southeast Asia and lengthy trips into Europe, and I would like to travel comfortably to do so. For that, I know that it's going to take a certain amount of points. I will build up the points to do that. But it's not like I have to, I have to do the Maldives. I have to do Bora Bora. I have to do Tahiti. I have to do X. I have to do Y. Or I always book the JW. Or I always book the Waldorf Astoria. Or I always book the Four Seasons. Because the max redemption you're ever going to get out of the Four Seasons is 1.5 cents per point. You're never going to get a huge redemption at the Four Seasons.
I'm not like, if you have Four Seasons money,
You're not
Like
using points.
just live your life, man. Like if you got Four Seasons money and you're like counting cents on redemptions, I have so many questions and they start with why.
Autism.
Well, okay.
I mean,
we
okay,
talked
but
about
like
this was like my topic. I think it was last week when I did it. All right, we hit the Powerball. Powerball's like $500 something million.
2 weeks ago.
Okay, we hit the Powerball, $500 million. Are we still going to be doing credit cards? It may not be to the extent that we're doing now, but I mean, I would still do it just for fun.
How much money do I need to make to buy Delta and just like remake
Several
it in my
$1
image?
billion.
You need about 15 Powerballs.
You know what? Then maybe I'll take my 500 million and just keep buying lotto tickets until I have enough lotto winnings to buy Delta. Maybe that's my play. Like, what do I do if I win the Powerball? I keep playing different state Powerballs until I win enough money.
All the same. It's all the same. The Powerball's all. It's everything is the same. It's all the every state.
You know what? $500 million will give me a lot of tickets to win it again.
You would exponentially increase your odds of winning from there. Yes. Also from Sabasist, take the Apple Card for example, 2% with Apple Pay, and there's people using the physical card, and there's me dying inside. Yeah, I don't understand.
I have seen my father use the physical Apple Card, and it makes me sad.
It's pretty. It makes a lovely sound, but hide that card from yourself and just keep it on your phone.
You know what else is pretty that makes a lovely sound? The built card. If you're going to use a once card, use the built.
Yeah, I think that's an ugly looking card. But like when you go to certain drive-throughs, like now most of them have card readers because of the pandemic, right? But before that, not all of it, there was not a reach out card reader that you could tap, right? You had to hand them their card and they would swipe. So like some people, and Tariq, your father is not in his 20s, right? Some people just have that mindset of you hand somebody a card, it gets swiped, and that's how it works. So also they're the reasons that we can have some outsized redemptions. So you got to let people play with the platinum. You got to let people buy dinner with the platinum every once in a while so we can have what we have.
I stopped letting it, I stopped screaming inside because of it, because I realized I talked about the credit card game with him once, and he was like, why do you have so many credit cards? I'm like, you know what? Use your one next Apple Card.
I have a question for my co-hosts, and then I will answer myself. Is it the most infantilizing thing to talk to your parents about credit cards and have them question every decision that you make like you were 17 again? Because it doesn't happen to me much anymore. But there were certain parts where I'm just like, I have a podcast about this. Like I do kind of know what I'm talking about here. Like I pay my bills. Like I promise.
I mean, must be nice that it's only credit cards.
I wasn't trying to do a full therapy session, man. I was trying to stick.
This just must be nice that it's just credit cards. You know, there's several.
It's not. Trust me. But yeah,
they're even like in the top 5 of my life choices that they ask me about.
We'll say my mom. I've talked to my mom about it, and she's humored the conversation because we were looking at something when it comes to like airlines, and I found out she had the United Explorer card, and I was just like, what? And we talked about points, and she humored me when she was talking about how she had a Marriott free night cert, and it was only like a certain amount of points. And I was like, wait, you have the Bonvoy Boundless card? Mind you, I was on the phone with her when this happened. And so she's like, whatever. My dad, well, yes.
If you became an AU on your mother's card for the Explorer, would you get the 25% kicker in the portal, and then she could move the points that you earn to your United account?
I don't know. I honestly would see,
because if that works, that might be your hack around for not getting the Explorer card.
That might be a Lonnie question if I don't do research on it.
Now the gears are spinning.
He's
gonna have an AU card by Monday.
Yeah, because if it's a card she doesn't use a ton, so you know how much you spent on it, right?
No, she has the. I don't think she uses it at all. She used it I think to pay for a flight 3 years ago.
So it might be something where you can be like, Mom, just make me an AU. I'll make sure you pay your bill. You're a good son. I'm sure you pay your bills anyway. And be like, just let me have an account so I can go in there and pay. Be all set. There you go. If the AU cards give you the 25% kicker, you gotta, or just use her card. Just straight up be like,
the card and just send her the money. Hey, mom.
Yeah.
I only use it on certain purchases. But if if it's just having the card on file, I don't need to swipe on the card.
Right.
Lonnie has said, I just need to have the card like available to me. Or I could just make my mom get mileage plus X.
And just, there you go.
Give you all the points. There you go.
Hey, mom, join my mileage plus pool.
I mean, if you're the one leading up the pool, then you get to do the redemption. So that would make a certain amount of sense. Yeah. Jordan mentions that he almost fell into the trap feeling like they had to do the Maldives for their honeymoon. Creators are very convincing. Yep. Nope. Go where you want to go, man. If you want to go to the Maldives. What was that?
Ahead, Matt. I was just going to say, they don't. I'm going to shut up now.
No. Go ahead.
I was going to say, they also don't tell you everything other than they just tell you the hotel redemption and maybe the flight. They don't tell you that you have to take another flight to the islands. Because I was watching Jeb Brooks, and he did a Maldives day. And they don't tell you have to take a seaplane from like a different airport that they have, like a local airport, to whatever resort that it is. And you can't book that on points unless you're doing the cash out chase points or you have the altitude reserve and you're cashing out your points at like, and that's not even 1.5 cents. You just cash them out just straight up 1 cent per point. So there's that.
And remember, the smaller the plane gets, the more dangerous it becomes. Take the trip you want to take. Go where you want to go. If you really want to go to the Maldives, math it out. Just make sure that you take every facet of the trip and keep every facet of the trip in mind. You want to go to Dubrovnik. I think Dubrovnik's really cool. Croatia, inventors of the tie. But yeah, no, just take the trip you want to take. Don't convince yourself that you have to do the Maldives to get like amazing value. Don't convince yourself you have to do Bora Bora or Sarawak or Brunei, or like if you want to go to the UAE, go to the UAE. Don't like let YouTube be the driving force to go to the UAE. Don't necessarily go to the UAE either.
Well, there's that. No, I think like look, getting a big redemption is awesome, right? Like, I think we can all agree that that is cool. But also, like, you're not going to likely get a giant redemption every time you travel. Like, I think if you try to get a giant redemption every time you travel, you're probably not going to travel as much as you want. So, like, getting an acceptable, and everybody's definition of acceptable is going to be different. Getting an acceptable redemption every time, and then occasionally getting those amazing ones is, like, probably a healthier goal mentally than to, keep trying to like chase that white rabbit.
Yes. Chatton mentions that he's an AA loyalist. He's got executive platinum, but he still wants to experience United Polaris. That's fair. If you got enough chase points.
I feel like United was able to see that you were an AA loyalist and they did kick rocks.
You could also just status match over. There's always a status match opportunity because the big airlines will always take somebody who's like executive platinum and present them Premier 1K and like do the flight challenge, and they would rather you come over because they know that you're they know how valuable you are to the airline of your choice, and they want you to be as valuable with their airline.
But also, I don't know, because depending on where you are, I mean, yeah, it might be nice to experience United Polaris, but I mean, that just depends on if you want to have. If you're living near an American hub, I would just honestly just stick with American, unless you don't mind flying to a United hub as like a positioning flight, for lack of a better term. But the hub flight and then go to your destination. See, like for me, I have no other choice unless I fly Southwest, and even then, I might still have a connection.
Yeah.
Like I'm almost guaranteed to have a connecting flight, regardless of where I fly out, whether it be San
Welcome
Antonio
to
or
my
Austin.
life. Like,
Yeah.
half the reason I have the platinum card is because I'm always going to have a connection. So I might as well have, like, I have turned it into, as much as Lonnie hates lounges, I love lounges because they're part of my life. I might as well accept them and embrace them than like hate them, because I'm not Lonnie. I'm not flying out of a major airport. I'm not Matt. I'm not flying out of a major airport. Even Tariq's not major San Antonio or Austin airport is like 4 times the size of my airport, because not New York City part of New York.
I am very sorry.
We have no lounges. We have one bar. Like, that's what we got. So I embrace the lounge game, because it's, it is what it is. Detroit, LaGuardia, or Atlanta. I will have a layover at one of those 3 for every flight I do for the rest of time.
See, for me, being in Texas, I have a choice. I have either DFW or IAH. It depends on who I feel like flying with.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm sure we're also going to talk more about the United cards when we get Lonnie back on the pod on Monday, because I wonder how he feels about the lesson, like the 2-tier. I know he probably won't care at the end of the day, but the fact that United has introduced 2 tiers of lounge membership now for their customers, where like you can pay $700, like $750 for yourself,
or
and in order to get
for 2.
Yeah.
I will say, I think he doesn't necessarily care.
I don't think he's going to care, because
he has the Explorer. I know his Explorer is no biggie for him.
He has the Explorer. His wife has the Club, right?
The Club is going to be an interesting one, because that one did jump up $170.
They're good until at least next year, so there's that. But
he's got to like this.
Oh no, they have until the end of the year.
But yeah, next year it'll be a different thing for him to figure out. But
he's got the most. He's got the most in the game when it comes to the actual United card. So I'm interested to see, and he knows that program so well. The Lonnie really is Mr. United.
Yeah, like the changes aren't going to affect him personally too much, but I'm curious to see what he says, like more in terms of like the business side of things. He talked about it a little bit with Joe on Tuesday night, but we'll get a chance to talk more about it Monday.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Rodrigo Mendez, frequent miler, saying you can't product change American Airlines cards to Citi Rewards earning cards anymore. At least an indication. Sounds like the fun is over.
Good.
Yeah, before we got on live.
Good.
I was.
There's still, I don't think there's the Citi Double Cash used to just not have a welcome offer, and most people would always say, if you wanted the Citi Double Cash, get an American Airlines card, get the sign up on this net, and then product change to the Citi Double Cash if you wanted the Citi Double Cash with a sub. It used to say it was a limited time offer, but I'm on the Citi website right now, and it just says it's a flat $200 offer. So I wouldn't be surprised on $1,500 in 6 months of spend. So it would make sense. They don't need that hack. Doesn't need to exist anymore. So it'll suck for some people, but
I mean, if you're looking for tea leaves that they're getting American as a transfer partner, this is one of the strongest indications you could get, just because. There's 2 lines of thinking on this, and I put this in another server because it didn't come up in our server. This is either American playing hardball, because American knows how many not dead cards, but like how many red aviators that were the 70,000 for a banana welcome offer cards there are in existence, and how many of those are going to get straight turned into custom caches as soon as they become eligible to be turned into custom caches when Citi takes over the program. Maybe this is Citi realizing how many cards are about to become custom caches, and Citi's putting the brakes on it. I'm not sure who's putting the brakes on it exactly. For American, it doesn't make sense to lose all of those cards to Citi. For Citi, it doesn't make sense for all of those cards to come into their program and just become custom caches. So I think this is part of the business side of things. It makes sense that this is a part of integrating the Barclays cards into Citi when the sale is final.
It also, like, you can't change a Delta Reserve to a gold card.
Green card or gold card, yeah.
You can't change a United Club to a Chase Freedom Unlimited.
Yeah.
Like, it made no sense to me that you have airline cards that you're just going to product change into a completely different ecosystem, basically. Like, I understand if you were somebody who used this and liked it, like, yeah, it's an avenue closing away. But like, if a thing makes sense, I don't think we can be too mad about it, right? Like, you can be mad that you are personally losing your thing. I get more mad at banks when they do things that don't make sense. Like, I can't get mad at a bank when they use common sense. I just can't.
Yeah. And American also understands like how easy it is to produce Citi points, how easy it is to print Citi points, and if they do 1-to-1, like, how big of a devaluation is American Airlines going to do
if they
offset that?
Unless they do a huge devaluation, they can't. Like, they have to like be 3-to-1 or something. Like, there's no way.
I think at current American Airlines redemption rates, that would make a certain amount of sense. But American also has like staved off doing the big big devaluation that other airlines have done.
Right, but that's what I mean, is like, if you do 3 thank you points to 1 airline mile, like, you cannot do that devaluation, right? Like, it's only if you're doing 2-to-1 or 1-to-1 that you have to do a devaluation. So because the people who are loyalists to American either live in a hub, have work that is sending them, as our dear friend Kid doesn't get his choice of airline partner, right? So this is what he has to fly. So if you want to not piss off the people you just signed contracts with for, whatever, you don't want to piss off your frequent flyers, don't do a devaluation and just make a less good. But Citi point, it's sort of like Hilton points, right? Like, you can earn a lot of them. So having a million point room works for Hilton because it's so easy to earn their points. So you can have a 3-to-1 redemption rate of transfer for Citi points, and you still actually probably are going to have a lot of people who've like, here's 100,000 AA miles. Thank you. I think that there's only so much you can do. Either you're going to get a massive devaluation, which I think would piss off more people than if you just give a quote bad transfer rate.
Yeah. So there's some sort of indication here. I don't know if it's on the Citi side. I don't know if it's on the American Airlines side, but it makes sense because no other card issuer was doing co-brand to core card. Like, you can't take the one key card with Wells Fargo and turn it into a Wells Fargo Active Cash.
I would like to turn my choice card into a
autograph.
Can I do that, please? Please, Wells?
I think they're going to say no.
I in fact know they'll say no.
Yes. Arnold Alley asks, what is the best 95 to 150 co-branded credit card? For him, he's picking IHG. I'm assuming either the Premier or the Business. Both are very strong cards. I think 95, you've got to pick one of those cards, or you've got to pick the Surpass.
I think it's the Surpass, just because I think
it's everyday utility.
Everyday utility, and I think
you get better categories.
The sneaky one, I think, on the Surpass is actually the one that's only 4x, and I think online shopping. I think that one, with the way the world works, that one is such an amazing, an amazing one that you don't realize, like, especially like I work from home. So a lot of my shopping is online shopping because I work from home. So like, I'm not leaving, and I work a weird shift. So I'm not leaving my house during the week. So if I need something, it's probably coming via the mail or UPS or FedEx or whatever. So I use it a lot. Like, that category, yes, it's 4x, so it's not, the 5x on the Business, but the Business is too high on this to qualify. But for 150, That Surpass is just such a nice car. I think the IHG is great. I would like it in 399 days.
I would say, like, I would throw in a third one. I would also say not to the extent of IHG or Hilton, because obviously those are the big players. But I mean, RG, you have the choice card. I would throw that one in the mix.
The choice card is great.
I was just about to say the choice card. The only thing that's holding choice back is just like they don't have, like, they've got a lot at the comfort, sleep in. They've got a lot of properties at that level. They don't have a ton of properties at the Ascent and Cambria levels, and they don't have too much else in between. Is kind of the only problem with choice. But that choice card is a really good card for $95.
I will say
the only other thing that holds it back, at least on the earning, is that the IHG Premier and the Hilton Surpass, they have above 1x on like a catch-all category, whereas the Choice doesn't. But aside from that, Choice gives you the cell phone plans, and if it's a Wells Fargo card, you're going to get cell phone protection.
The one thing I'll say about the choice card, because that is a card I hold, so it's one I have sort of in my head, is it gives you home improvement stores, which is a category that you see sometimes, like a couple Amex cards, they'll give you like construction stuff at like 1.5 or whatever. But just having how many times have anybody who has a house or an apartment gone to Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever to like grab something? That's just an underrated, like sneaky good little category. So I think that's a good one. 4x is 2x for Amex, yes, but the only card that'll get you 2x on Amex is the Blue Business Plus, and there are just some things that shouldn't go on a business card. Like if it's a purchase that you want purchase protection on, if it's a purchase that you ever think you're gonna have to return, like we talk about the Blue Business Plus glowingly. I have that card. I use that card. I love that card, but it is a business card, and that is something that you have to keep in mind when using the Blue Business Plus.
Yep. So Jose Marzon, HNL Sky Club was very nice. Candy, flowers, cookie handouts, and solid food. HNL, I believe, is Honolulu, correct?
No earthly idea.
It is Honolulu.
All right. And they mentioned that they're still jet lagged. Subasist, watch them product change the red aviator to the teal, no annual fee American Airlines card. If it's a My Love card, that would be hilarious.
I would honestly.
Whenever they do the merger between the AA cards, like the podcast is we're gonna be unhinged that episode. I'm calling it now, more than usual.
We gotta. I think even if we have Lonnie on there, we should bring in Kit Kat just so he can try to defend AA.
We'll just bring him in for the segment. Now, correspondent Kit Kat.
Arnold Alley. I was only thinking fourth night free and frequent sales points. Don't want to make that too public.
I've already made it public enough, dude.
Point sales are a thing.
Yeah, and I mean they're pretty ubiquitous for IHG. They're pretty ubiquitous for Hilton. Like they run those very frequently, at least 5 or 6 times a year. In both programs. Fourth night free. IHG does have that as a leg up over Hilton and Marriott because those two have fifth night free. Does anyone do? No, nobody does third night free. So
no, they did. I would go. I think too many people would abuse that just because we most of the time do like a weekend stay, and so if you can get a third night without paying any extra points, I think they'd be potentially losing money on that.
I don't think it depends, right? Like I think if you did it at a place with like a restaurant and like amenities, that would I think it would have to be targeted, right? It would have to be like your spas or your more vacation-y places. I think you could do a third night free because the services is going to, I think, make up for that.
Yeah, like if you're gonna do like a Fairfield or a Holiday Inn or a Hampton Inn third night free, yeah, they'd be losing money on that.
No, I think like something like almost is a gimmick. Like you get the choice card and you get third night free for 6 months to draw people in could be something that would happen. But I think
Cool.
having it permanently right now would be hard.
No,
not in this economy.
Yeah.
Also, if you're a fan of the Chase and Lyft benefits, get your rides in this weekend. I'm just gonna put that out there right now.
That's just going away, right? Like,
yeah, it's just
we have not heard anything.
No, it's going away.
Oh, it's going. Because I know Uber and Delta are about to launch something.
Yeah. So maybe there'll be something in the next week from Chase. It's been too quiet, but yeah. Yeah, that's going away.
People in the city get rideshare credits. You can all let me have my Dunkin' Donuts credit. Like, it's fine. Like, people in the sticks don't get to use their rideshare credits. So
I don't even care about the credit. I just like the 10x Lyft earning. That's ending.
Yeah, I don't ever use Lyft, so
it was great when I was using it. I was using Lyft on the Freedom Flex because it was you get the 5x for it, and then you get the additional 5% on like your third Lyft ride because you had a MasterCard. So it was kind of like a twofold on that one. So that's gonna suck.
I've got Lyft Pink until the end of this year for free, and then next year would be $99, and then I don't know what I'm going to do from there. But
yeah, one thing I think that's always interesting is like credits seem universal in some ways, right? And then there are just ones that you have your weird edge cases. Like, I love Uber occasionally, right? Because if I have enough money, I can just get some free food, but I have to in most cases leave my house to get the free Uber Eats because I can't get delivery most of the time. So it's like, there's always edge cases like that, right? Like, we talk about some credits as like universal, and then like a Dunkin' credit is pegged as like only for X. And I'm like, but I can use the Dunkin' credit easier than I can use the Uber credit. So who's laughing now?
I just wait. Was the Dunkin' credit? Was it only like the Dunkins, or was like the Dunkin' X Baskin Robbins ones?
I think you can use it at Dunkin' and Baskin Robbins. I don't have any around me, so I never was able to test
There is
it.
a Dunkin' Baskin Robbins not too far from my apartment, and
I'm getting ready to close my goal though. So
yeah, they used to do more Dunkin' Baskin Robbins, but those all closed around me, and now they're just Dunkins.
Honestly, RJ, how would you feel if just out of random, I just post a screenshot in the Discord in credit card chat, and it's just like my approval for the gold card?
I would be so incredibly pissed because you didn't use my link.
Fair.
That would be my reaction. Is I would be so incredibly pissed that you didn't use my link right now. That's where I would be.
Understood.
Mike Newland joins us. Thanks, Mike. He says most airports have Dunkin' in them. Yep. And those Dunkin' should code properly. Typically they do.
Everyone I have tested has coded properly. And I have tried every Dunkin' that I can find because I like Dunkin' coffee. Don't judge me.
Dunkin' coffee's fine.
I think I just had a bad experience with Dunkin'
coffee. Is Dunkin' coffee. Like, it tastes like Dunkin' coffee.
Yeah. I tend to use that benefit when I'm traveling, only very limiting. Yeah. If you don't have Dunkins around you, like if you live in an area where there's not a particularly large number of Dunkin' Donuts, which would be like the Southeast and the Pacific Northwest, then yeah, you're going to only have limited options for using that credit. But if you have Baskin Robbins around you, that's a nice little end run around it. Or just build up your Dunkin' app gift card in app.
Right, like that is I think the reason that I like the Dunkin' credit and the criticism to me doesn't land as strongly is because unlike a lot of the other credits, you just can roll it over forever. So like if you don't travel a ton, you can have $200 of Dunkin' and just like buy everybody on your trip like breakfast or whatever, right? Like your 10-person trip can all get free like bagels and coffee one day, right? So that is a benefit. I wish like if Uber worked like that and you could just rack up a year's worth of Uber to like do a big like, go around a city, I think people would be less complaining about monthly credits. The problem with monthly credits is if you don't use them in that month, you're done.
My thing is with the Uber credit, not saying everyone uses, like for the people that actually use Uber Eats or Uber, can't you use the Uber credit for Uber One?
No.
Like, oh, you can't.
Yeah,
No.
you can.
Oh, you can?
So my platinum and my gold currently are going in as credits. I have Uber One. I have monthly Uber One though. You have to do it as a monthly.
Oh, okay.
Because if you do it as monthly, it'll pull the
It's like $10 a month.
$9.99 out of your reserve So I have Uber One because $10 of my Uber cash goes to Uber One. That to me is a bigger benefit than the actual money left over, because when I use Uber, I don't have all of that fees and stuff.
Yeah, because I think that would be was my thought process when I was like thinking about it before I even joined Discord. I was like, oh, maybe I can get the gold card when I was still naively thinking I was going to earn Marriott points. Was the fact because I had Uber One with the Saver, and I was like, well, if I get the gold card, I get the I can still have Uber One after it gets sunsetted.
So $0 delivery fee, up to 10% on eligible orders for restaurants and stores, 6% back on eligible rides. There are some members only promotions. So it's not like the best membership in the history of the planet, but if you use Uber at all, it like just the fees alone can save you a lot of money.
Yeah, plus I think you can get discounted Uber rides too.
Mhm.
When I had Uber One, I had some discounted rides. It made it hard when I had that overlap when I was using Lyft because I was getting Built points and Chase points, but also had Uber One. And I was like, at that point, just doing the value prop game. What did I value more, points or just the cheaper ride?
Yeah, because I don't use Uber every month, so I rather pay for Uber One consistently and then use whatever is left over than have $25 sit in there and not use it for a month and it go away.
Uber One, Dash Pass, and Lyft Pink, they'll all give you certain fees they'll waive because you're paying them monthly to not have those fees. They will also, with Lyft Pink, they'll have like guaranteed rates to certain places, typically airports. So you'll have the ability to lock in a rate for that. So I'm assuming Uber One does the exact same thing, like a trip to, assuming you're in New York City, assuming you're in DC or somewhere like that, like folks not in the cities proper, it's going to be a pain.
When I went to Louisville, we used it a lot, and it was great because like one of the things that is expensive that you don't realize is expensive is a rental car, especially in a city you don't know, because then you have to pay for parking. You know, if it's a city that you can't walk necessarily but need a vehicle to get around, it's a nice little feature to not have to do a rental.
Keith mentions how much he's surprised he likes his Dash Pass on his Sapphire Reserve. Yeah, I like Dash Pass as well. I literally ordered food just before the podcast because I hadn't had dinner yet, and
Dash Pass is great.
Needed to eat. Dash Pass is pretty awesome. I will continue not paying for Dash Pass until 2027. I don't like that I'm going to have to pay for Lyft Pink All Access at some point, but I'm not using Lyft enough to kind of justify Lyft Pink All Access beside it being free. So I think that's a pretty easy choice I'm going to have to make going forward. But we will have to see what Chase does in the next 2 weeks. But your Lyft benefits are going away on Monday, after Monday.
Yeah, one trend I would like to see go away is banks just not being very communicative. Like, it seems like all of the banks lately are like, we're just going to let this thing die, or we're not necessarily going to put out a lot of information and just, oh, wow, we're not renewing, or we're not doing this, or we're doing that now. As Keith's icon shows, Built is in trouble, and Built is the highest offender of this. But none of the banks lately seem to be very good at saying things.
No, they're all terrible at it.
At the rate things are going, you have a better chance of seeing the White Sox win a World Series than seeing the banks communicate to their customers on these credit card products.
I mean, the White Sox won one more recently than the Mets, so there's that.
I mean, I think I've won a World Series more recently than the Mets. I was on a roster somewhere at this point.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Built's been really bad at communication. Like I've laid into Built pretty hard. I don't like how uncommunicative Chase is with this, but like Chase also gets the benefit of being the largest issuer of credit cards. It's not a benefit of the doubt, but it's Like I was thinking that things were being hammered out and things were still being negotiated until the last minute. Maybe they were, and like today talks just imploded, and it was just like they told everyone today like it's not happening. I don't know, but I would much rather see banks and credit issuers and these reward companies being more communicative than they are. Like I posted in the Stack Your Points Discord in the tech channel about a Q&A that Framework posted from their live announcement, from their product announcement on February 25th. Now it took them like a month to post it on their YouTube channel, but one, they have a YouTube channel, which first and foremost is like awesome. But they did this Q&A, and the Q&A was about like other products that they might be launching, or like what the state of the state is with the program. Do you know how much less shit I would give Built if Built did like an announcement and then did like a Q&A afterwards of like, here's our thought process on this? And that Q&A wasn't Richard Kerr saying, hey, I'm on a train right now. AMA. Yeah. Now those AMAs are very informative, and Kerr is very informative when he is available, but
if Reddit is your Q&A page for your product, you have failed.
Yes. I would like to see these companies do, and like Robinhood did a live stream last night about like their future of Robin, like the lost city of gold nonsense that they were spouting. There's new banking updates, there's new like investing updates, things like that. It all looks kind of interesting in abstract, but like they have a presence on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have a way to announce these things. They're trying to do Apple keynotes, which is cute, but like they're making that effort, right? Built needs to make that effort. Chase should do something other than here's pure silence until we do like a thing.
Oh, Keith. Oh, Keith,
Oh,
you're gonna create some drama, and I'm here for it.
We're gonna get to Keith's thing here in just a second. Tariq, I'm sorry for what you're about to hear. Vincent asks, if Built has some April Fool's Day jokes up their sleeves, what do you think they would be?
Hey, we're bringing back American.
Exclusive with American, exactly.
There's that.
Or Delta.
They're going to be issuing the Sonesta card.
Amex bought us. Chase bought us.
Chase bought us. Wells Fargo bought us.
2X
Wells Fargo partnership, you know.
If they did a Wells partnership as an April Fool's Day, I think Matt would he would just openly weep on the next live. Like he would be so upset.
Built. So earlier we mentioned that Wells Fargo needs like a marquee type transfer partner. Built is like stealthily that sort of partner.
The problem is it's never going to happen.
I understand it may never happen. But like,
I agree. I think the problem is going from one loyalty program to another loyalty program of the same type to transfer out for a second time is not good.
No, it's not. But it would also open up so many other doors.
But then you're putting your like Wells Fargo is putting their eggs in Built's negotiating basket, and no bank
should do that
in their right mind. Right, like if you're Wells Fargo, why would you say, okay, we're gonna let Built negotiate our next transfer part? Because that's what basically you're saying is Built's going to do this negotiating. Like we might try ourselves, but why would any of their why would Hyatt, if they renegotiate with Built, which I don't think they will, but if there's no impetus to go to Wells Fargo at that point. Like Wells Fargo is giving up their autonomy.
Well, because I think the thing that holds up Wells Fargo,
because you want them to, I know, but it's not happening.
It's not even remotely like I want them to. Yes, I want them to, but like Wells has gotten the transfer partners that they've gotten, which is the minor miracle that it is. But Wells also has a very unique transfer system where it's literally 1 point to 1 point, and I don't think most partners want to do 1 point to 1 point, because if you've got a set of points that can expire, right, I can kick those out to your next 24 months by transferring 1 Wells Fargo point over.
But
Air France doesn't care.
That's so easy to fix. Like, that's so easy for
it
the
is,
system
but
to correct.
But I think Wells is kind of banking on that, and I don't know why. I could be 100% wrong. Absolutely wrong.
I think it would be a mistake for Wells Fargo to go with Bilt. If they go with Bilt as a transfer partner instead of getting their own marquee transfer partner, I think that is absolutely the biggest misstep they can make right now with how Bilt is presenting as a company. I think it would be. I think it would put them. I think Citi would be a better place. Citi on a mobile wallet would be a safer place than Wells Fargo. If whoever that executive better just resign and go live in shame.
Yeah. All right. Other April Fool's jokes would be, I don't know.
Here's our $550 travel card that's exactly the same as our $0 travel card, except you get 5x on, I don't know, happy endings. That seems like something Bilt would do.
Yeah, we're late enough. We're past the watershed hour. It's fine. So Keith asks the potentially controversial. Yeah, exactly. Keith asks the potentially controversial questions of what are the top 3 Star Trek TV series. I've been meaning to ask this question for a while. RJ, I know Voyager's number 1. What are 2 and 3 for you?
Voyager is number 1. It is near and dear in my heart. I don't know if I could put them in 1, 2, 3. I think I can give you a top 3. I think the order is going to depend on the day and the episode, right? So Voyager, Next Gen, it's so quintessential to modern Star Trek fans, right? Like Picard and Crusher and Data and Worf and Riker and I think it's so quintessential to the Star Trek experience.
Seasons 1 and 2 though are really hard to get through,
which is why I'm not ranking the top 3. I'm just putting forth the 3 and saying that it depends, because the 4 lights 5 lights episode is is very different than season 1 episode 3. Right. Yes. Like, so I think there is some room there. And I like, this might be a personal thing. I don't necessarily want the first season or 2 of the series to be the best if it's a series with 7 or 8 seasons, right? Like, you want room for growth. You want things to mature, because like the first season of Voyager is not the best season of Voyager, right? So no. I think growth is needed. And then it is near and dear to my heart. I am so sad that it is gone. I think Lower Decks is the best Star Trek as Star Trek. Yes, it's very referential to things, and some people like that, some people don't. But I think between the writing and the voice acting and the like, if I gave you a line and I asked, was it Boimler, Mariner, T'Lyn, Tendi, or Rutherford who said it? Right. And you're a fan of the show enough to know who those characters are. And, that you would be able with 100% certainty to name. And I think that is hard. Right. I will say, because I know Vincent's Deep Space Nine, I have not seen much of Deep Space Nine. I've seen parts of it, and the parts I've seen I don't like, which is why I haven't watched the series as a whole. I keep meaning to do a full rewatch. But
I do think a rewatch would change your rankings.
A full rewatch of the entire of Star Trek. I will say, I think Enterprise is underrated, and I really want to know what would happen if they got rid of like the 5 alien species that are really like all from the same master species, and didn't have the laser hit Earth and kill Trip Sister. I would really like to have seen what would happen, because I think the things they were doing with like T'Pol and stuff were really interesting. And then like the 90s in Star Trek and the writing with women is not great. 7 of 9, Jerry Ryan is the only reason 7 of 9 works.
Yes.
her acting and her ability to give 7 of 9 what she did. And with T'Pol, same thing. The actress gave her a lot more than was ever put on screen. So, and 7 coming back for Picard, I think gives her even more, right? Because that really fleshes out that character. But yeah, I wish I could like Deep Space Nine, but there's just so much about it that I don't like the commander, and you kind of need to like the commander for the show to work. I know Matt, but I adore Janeway, and a lot of people don't like her. So like who you like as a captain or a commander is going to
frame a
how
lot
you
of
see
how
that
you
show.
frame. Yeah.
Like Freeman is great, and that is part of why Lower Decks works, right? Because of how Captain Freeman is as a captain. Maybe her less than all other captains. Does it depend? But I really do, I love Star Trek in general. But I don't know if you can put a list together without Next Gen. But I'm sure Matt's going to try.
It's gonna be real hard. So for top 3 for me, I do love the reinterpretation of Strange New Worlds. I do. I also
That is
love
also
how
on my watch list.
I love how they cast Anson Mount as Pike. I love Ethan Peck for Spock because of what he brings. I know Tariq is just completely checked out.
So sorry.
Sorry, Tariq.
I am not a Trekkie. My Star Trek knowledge on the TV series starts with the OG series and ends with Next Generation. I kind of blame my dad for that. And also, I do enjoy the movies. I did enjoy the movies. Even numbers not odd.
Sweet Summer
Odd
Child.
number movies. No, sorry. Even number movies only.
Yeah, evens are good. Odds sucked. And then,
I do kind of have a soft spot in my heart for Nemesis. It's terrible, but
my only Nemesis is an okay movie. My problem with Nemesis is that we nearly lost Tom Hardy as an actor.
Yeah, well, there's that.
That is kind of like the biggest problem with Nemesis in total, because like not getting Tom Hardy, you don't get Bane, you don't get all of his other roles since then in these new British gangster movies, which are insane.
And the movie where he's driving the car the entire time and he's on like the phone calls with the different people.
Mad Max
there's one where he's like his like marriage is falling apart and his work is falling apart and he's on a car for like the entire movie and you just hear the phone calls and like him falling apart. I can't remember the name of it, but sorry. So Strange New Worlds. What else?
Strange New Worlds is going to be in my top 3. DS9 is definitely in my top 3, just because like DS9's first 2 seasons, TNG's first 2 seasons are pretty problematic. DS9 is trying to find its identity. I think the stuff that they do with the what is it? It's not the Gamma Quadrant, it's the Beta Quadrant. They open the wormhole to, because Voyager gets less than the Delta Quadrant. It could be the Gamma Quadrant.
It's got to be the Gamma Quadrant, because that's where the warrior people are from. It's not the Beta Quadrant is like the Klingon and Cardassian and all of that.
Yep, sorry. The Dominion War sequence is
that's Gamma Quadrant.
Really, really well written once they've hit their stride. Like they do find weird side quest episodes where it's like going back in time, where like Cisco gets bonked on the head and they go back in time and Cisco's a black writer on a serialized magazine in the 1950s, and he's not getting credited for the work that he's doing because of who he is. Like those side quest episodes are really well written episodes, but like they don't fit the narrative, which is weird, but like I appreciate that they're there.
We've lost that in modern television, and it's a shame because those episodes are important to character growth.
Yes. And like for the number 3, I love Lower Decks because Lower Decks is like most adult cartoons, you can just like sit back and like you don't have to think about the lore too much, and you appreciate the lore that they give you. And I love self-referential cartoons. But I do understand like how useful Voyager is to the series as well, because like Voyager's sort of a whole other area of exploration that is tantamount to Trek.
Yeah.
So like
I think Voyager and DS9 I think are siblings in they give you a quadrant that is not alpha, not beta, and are sort of the only two that have done it really since. Like there are mentions of others, but there's not the exploration that you get with those two. I will say I do think Harry Kim makes it beyond ensign. I think a lot of the Voyager people were like, look, Star Trek's great. Starfleet's great. I'm gonna not do this anymore. I
70,000 light years away.
You know actually two. You know the two cameos from Picard that I was so absolutely sad we did not get in season 3?
B'Elanna Torres and Tom Paris, or
Yes.
Harry Kim and okay.
Not getting guys, I'm going so nerdy. I apologize, Tariq. Star Trek will always get me on my nerdy side. But when in Picard, when Seven, like I know a person, right, and they're running from everybody and they're the Borg and whatever, I thought it was gonna be Torres and Paris like showing up with like a new Delta flyer and like having those contacts, right? Because like B'Elanna Torres would have contacts from her Maquis days and all of that, and Tom Paris like knows some people. So I was really sad. I loved that we got Tuvok. I am sad that they could not work out the rights to get Catherine Janeway to be the one to promote Seven, because that was the plan, and they could not get the actress, so they had to use Tuvok, which I think was very sweet, but not the scene I wanted.
Yeah, it didn't hit the same. So Vincent, that's the Harry Kim question. Keith says that the movies are going to be his question next week. Cool. Arnold Alley mentions, and we're going to go back to Arnold's other question about credit cards in just a second, but he mentions that he likes Disco also. I like Discovery. I have a place to watch Discovery. My biggest problem with Discovery was the absolutely needless retcon of making Burnham Spock's adopted foster sister.
I think the problem with Trek has such a there are so many gaps that you could fit these stories in, and they're like, but what if she's related to Spock? Like, I'm like, you don't need to go to that time and place.
They absolutely didn't. They could have gone any number of other places where yes, Burnham loses her parents. Okay, there's a number of lost child there's a number of lost child characters in the lost parent characters in the Star Trek world, like Worf, for example, right?
Alexander, because Worf forgot him,
actively neglected him. As I say, TNG presents problems like neglectful parents, or don't even begin to. I mean, Riker's dad's pretty neglectful as well. Anyway, Burnham could have been. You could have brought in another character and made that association, and I don't think it would have been as rough as they made it. Like, you could have brought in Sarek, where she is on Vulcan, but she is on Vulcan because of Sarek's affinity for humans, and there is this foster child. There is this child who has been brought to Vulcan for reasons, but she is a pupil of Sarek. She is not adopted by Sarek.
Ooh, I like that theory, Vincent. Yeah. The speech by the captain in Picard, though, about the war and being put on the shuttle and ordered to, even though he knows that he's going to survive and his commanding officer is going to die, I think is one of the best monologues in Star Trek. Because it made me understand a character that I wanted to push out an airlock. So being able to do that is important.
I forgot they brought back Michelle Phillips for season 3. I have to go back and rewatch season 3 of Picard.
I need to do an entire Star Trek, like from original series. I will skip the animated series. I don't know if I could put myself through the animated series.
It's fun. It's hokey. It's also kind of stupid. And
I love Lucy is the grandmother of Star Trek, and I love that so much.
Yes, hot take on the original series. We could have done with less hokiness from DeForest Kelley, but it kind of is what it is.
I don't think that James T. Kirk would be as iconic as he was if anybody else other than Shatner. Like, Shatner's terrible acting is why James T. Kirk is remembered. Like, yes. I think if you would put a competent actor in there, it would be worse.
Yes. Where does the original series fit in your list? It's historic and ahead of its time. It's grainy as fuck. I'll tell you this much. It would be in the top 5. It doesn't make a top 3. It's definitely a top 5 just because of the historic angle of it. But I'm also viewing it as somebody in the 21st century who understands how problematic some aspects, like how historic aspects of that show are and how problematic other aspects of that show are. And
I mean,
really
the
hard.
miniskirt. Here's the thing. Women at the time wanted to wear miniskirts. Now we look at it and go, why is her skirt so short? Right? Like, things like that are very, very dependent on your lens, right? I think the original series is on a shelf by itself outside of the ranking. I don't think you can rank it. I don't think you can rank it with the other shows for a lot of reasons, but I don't think you can rank it. I think it gets its own, like, it gets the 7 mini Oscars that Disney won for like the Snow White, and then they gave them I think it gets its own like grand damn status. Yeah.
I can live with that just because, like, I understand, like, we wouldn't have this conversation without it.
Right.
And we wouldn't have the conversation without Lucille Ball, like, going to and Desilu Productions going to CBS and saying, you have to keep this.
Yeah.
But like, there's aspects of that show that are problematic at best. But then there's also things like Nichelle Nichols was encouraged by MLK to stay on the show because of the role model that she would be to young girls.
And say what you will about Shatner. Nichols and Shatner messed up every other take of the one where the two of them kiss. So they had to use an
real one.
Kiss. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I'd be remiss to not mention that we have Lonnie in the chat. Lonnie!
Yay!
Hey!
Keith also encourages Keith put Tariq in the corner.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry.
This is the physical embodiment of me in the corner.
Look, we're nerds, Tariq. We gotta get you on the Star Trek.
Look, y'all want to put me in the corner to start talking nerd stuff. That's your way of putting me in the corner.
Because you're so cool and hip and with it.
I'm not saying that. It's just, like I said, all I know when it comes to Star Trek is the even number movies, the OG series, the new J.J. Abrams movies.
Oh God, no!
The Next Generation.
Burn those from your mind.
There's very few things I like about the JJ. Oh no, the things I like about the J.J. Abrams movies are not worth discussing in a podcast.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, we got one more credit card question.
Yeah, from Arnold Alley, who does mention liking Disco, and I don't disagree. Disco's a pretty good show. He asks, how likely is it that Citi would announce airport lounges with their new Strata Elite? Did they not trademark Strata lounges, make the access like the Sapphire lounges? I think that long-term lounges are coming. I don't think they're going to announce lounges at the same time as Strata Elite. I think they're going to play the coming in 2026, the new Citi Strata Lounge at Citi Field in Queens. And then you're going to see Strata lounges at various various ballparks, various hockey arenas and stuff like that. UBS Arena in where the Islanders play has its own little American Express lounge that you can access if you hold an American Express card. Did I go into it when I went to UBS Lounge this week? No, but will I try to get into it at another time? Yes.
Buy the club. Do it. Do it.
City buying the club and rebranding them Strata Lounges would absolutely be a play, and I would hate it. But yes,
it would be so incredibly funny, though. Like,
oh yeah,
here's
anyone buying the club.
Yeah, I still think Amex buying the club would be the ultimate power move.
Yep.
And then you could give access to that for green card people, just as like we're so good. We have the Delta lounges, the Centurion lounges, and then I don't know the Legionnaire lounges, and you could just have like these different, like, could you imagine? It would be so good. Jamie Dimon would be apoplectic.
Well, Jamie Dimon just lost the Lyft partnership, so yeah, we'll see what happens there. To report to unintentionally put in the corner. So yeah, Citi will launch lounges at some point. I think when Strata Elite launches, for lounge membership, you're going to see them keep lounge priority pass restaurants to carry that over from the Prestige. I think they're going to have priority pass. I don't know that they're going to have any other major lounge networks. If they got anything, it would be like escape lounges internationally.
Like, the problem with lounges is you should have gotten into the game seriously like 15 years ago.
Yes.
And doing it now, like, there's only so much physical space. Like, we can say airports should build more lounges as much as we want, but there's only so much physical space inside of airports. So it like Centurion Lounge only has like less than 30 worldwide, but there's still so much more than everybody else that they're just in a different game.
Yep. Unless you're getting into a concourse expansion or a terminal redevelopment, like Terminal 1 at JFK. We don't know anything about what could be going into Terminal 1 at JFK, aside from like what's already at Terminal 1. I'm sure those airlines will stay at Terminal 1, but like we don't know how much additional lounge space that's going to have, what other lounges are going in there. So like if I'm Citi right now, I have to be negotiating a Terminal 1 lounge at JFK for 5, 10, 15 years in the future, when like I'm going to have the space, I'm going to have the availability to do that. Terminal 8, that redevelopment's already done. Terminal 6 is like going to open in the next year. It's going to fully open by 2030. I have to imagine that there's going to be a Chase Sapphire lounge at Terminal 6, and I have to imagine that there's going to be a Centurion lounge at Terminal 6. I don't know what else they're going to do at Terminal 6.
Yeah, it's just, you have to get into you either have to get into a smaller airport that doesn't have much and wants a lounge, or you need to like fight for those scraps when they do redesign.
Like if Chase is no longer able to do the rent or whatever at Terminal 4, or like their Etihad relationship breaks down, like you have to swoop in and grab that Etihad relationship as early as possible. Keith says, if I was a bank getting into the lounge network, I tried my hardest to make my first lounge in ORD. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense at Chicago O'Hare. Like O'Hare is a bank lounge desert. O'Hare has a ton of airline lounges. The smartest move that you could make as a bank is partnering with some of those airline lounges.
I think the Centurion and Delta relationship really, like, if I know that Chase and United's relationship is different, but if the Sapphire Reserve could get you like the Centurion card, or I'm sorry, the Platinum card does with the Delta lounges, like that would be that would be worth bumping up the annual fee, maybe by like $150, just if you had the same type of lounge access that you do on the Amex Delta side. So
you could do the same thing that the Platinum has now. Like you could just go straight to the 10 lounges, or what is the Platinum? The Platinum's 10, right?
It is a number higher than 1. I don't know off the top of my head, because I have 2 Delta Reserves and a Platinum, so I basically am never gonna run out of.
You're never gonna hit that number, basically.
Yeah.
And like if you put 75,000 through a platinum, you can get unlimited no matter what.
Right.
The Sapphire Reserve getting 10 to 15 day passes effectively with United would be huge for a $150, $200 increase to the annual fee. Now, I think that those day passes have to be a little bit stronger in terms of like not being turned away at the lounge as the current United day pass. Like you have to have a guarantee that if you're looking to get into the lounge, you're going to get into the lounge. I think Chase has to have something better than the $59 pass, basically.
Yeah, but I think that is something that would automatically, in 10 visits without free companion access. Thank you, Keith. But
Thanks, Keith.
I think that is such an, I say easy in terms of like for users and for value, right? I'm sure on the negotiating side it's much harder, but like that is such an easy thing to add to Chase to the CSR and just bump the annual fee to $700. Like, and I'm not throwing that number out like as a small number. It puts you just in under Amex, which is what Chase is going to want. They want to be a little cheaper than Amex. So if people are quote price conscious, like they're the premium cards, so you can only be so price conscious. But it puts them in a little under that, and it vastly increases their range. Plus, like, okay, what is the easiest way to get people to like lounges? Let them into a couple of lounges. Like as soon as you start traveling and you can go to lounges, like how I sold my parents on some of the credit cards I have in terms of like them not thinking I was insane and like in a massive amount of credit card debt is I took them to Delta lounges because you get on the whole, you get a much cleaner bathroom. You can sit down usually somewhere, there's TVs around, you can relax a little bit, you can game plan, assuming you're not in one of the ones that have had health code violations, get some food, get a drink. Like it gives you that, like as soon as you have that experience, especially if you're somebody who's always going to have a layover, it changes the way you travel. Like it vastly improves your travel day experience. And as soon as they do that, people are going to want more. And how do you get more? You go to the United Club.
Yeah. Arnold follows up with, I agree with that for the Sapphire Reserve. I think they'll need 12 domestic and 5 international, and then 8 passes for the United card for United Club for CSR, and 10 Sapphire passes for the United Club card. I could see that. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely different avenues you can go, and you can get those. Like at some point there'll be an elevated IHG card. At some point there'll be an elevated Hyatt card. Like those having passes into the Sapphire Lounge and just the Sapphire Lounge could be useful. But yeah, it makes sense for Chase and United to work together to get the CSR access into United Club lounges, and for United Club card holders to get access to Sapphire lounges. That
would that make you, I mean, I know you want Tariq, I know you want some of the higher end cards eventually, but would that, if you could get into the United lounge even on a smaller number, would that push you towards the CSR versus getting a dedicated? I know you want the Explorer for other reasons, but instead of the club card, go with the CSR. Would that like be a defining feature for you?
Yes, because at the very worst case scenario, if I want to go and get the United Club membership, like I could potentially, if it's allowable, use the $300 credit towards the membership, and so instead of paying like $750, I'm only paying effectively $450 because then the $300 back, plus all the other benefits that come with the CSR. Yeah, I'd do that.
I do wonder if they would be like, the $300 travel credit cannot be used for this.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah. I mean,
but either way, I would still use it because I don't travel enough to justify it. But I mean, if I get like let's say 10 United Club passes. That's 5 between my girlfriend and me. That's sufficient for a year.
Yeah, I think that, because here's the thing, like United's not going to leave Chase. Like,
nope.
There's no way for them to go, and Chase is not going to let United walk away. So you might as well integrate a little more deeply. And I think the way that they've done the United cards, there's no reason that they can't do this on the next refresh for the CSR. I mean, if you want to bump up the Sapphire Preferred, give 2 passes on that, right? Because that way you give 1 trip, right? 2 passes is a round trip. You go to lounges, you're not going to want to go back to like sitting with Joe Q Public. Like, you're just not, for most people.
Adam and his kids would make me just annoyed.
Yeah. So give them a little taste. That's why I think the green card is going to get like 2 Centurion passes, like just enough that you understand why you want to spend $795 on the Amex subscription.
Fair.
Yeah. Sean Olaf chimes in. Thanks, Sean, for joining us. He says you can use the Dunkin' credit as standalone Baskin Robbins. Yep.
Fantastic.
Even better.
Same company. Yeah, I can definitely see Sapphire Prefer getting some very limited lounge access. I could see it just like they do with the United Explorer.
Yeah. Because there's no way United is walking away. So like, there's no place for them to go. Like, what are they going to, if United left Chase and went to Wells Fargo, A, it would be the funniest thing in the world, but B, like, not to, like, it would take a while to get the numbers that they're used to, right? Like, once you're with Chase or Amex, you have so many people that can use your service and so many people using your service because you're there. If you go to a different partner, a smaller partner, I don't think any of us would argue that Wells Fargo is the size of Amex or Chase. Like, you are used to a certain level of people moving points over. You're used to a certain people using your services because of your connections. They're not going to give that up. Like, they're just not. They like money.
Lots of it too.
Yep. So yeah, we'll just have to see what happens in terms of that game. But like Citi, going back to the Citi Strata Lounge, like Citi's gotta, if they're going to start implementing lounges, they've got to have those negotiations now. Yeah. Because Chase is having those negotiations, American Express is having those negotiations, Capital One is having those negotiations, and I'm certain to a very much quieter extent, Wells Fargo is also having those negotiations at some point. Yeah,
I mean, any bank that's a fully national size is a fool not to have these conversations, even if they don't have any immediate plans to have lounge access.
Yeah. They're going to trademark the lounge concept and they're going to go from there.
Yeah, so. Exactly.
We'll just have to see. But yeah, we are almost 2.5 hours in, so like we've recorded a full length Stack Your Points in live tonight.
We are recording Stack Your Points a week now.
Keith, you are absolutely correct. You were absolutely the only character that I think has a outside shot of being as annoying as Neelix is when they like super powered Kess for no reason and she like shot off into space. But again, you don't have her on the show as long as you do Neelix. You have Neelix for the entire run of the show.
Neelix is when they made him the ship's cook, it was sort of interesting, but then they tried to like shoehorn him into more character development, and when they were going that route, it was like, you guys really need something else to do. Anyway, Tariq, I would definitely encourage you to watch some of the Star Trek series. There are very definite episodes and seasons I would avoid from the Star Trek, from the Star Trek universe. There's a pretty racist season 1 or season 2 episode of TNG. There's a Space Irish episode of season 1 TNG that you should probably just avoid at all costs. But overall,
it's 90s.
A worthwhile series.
Late keep 80s. That in mind.
Late 80s.
Yeah,
before I was born, actually.
Oh, really?
If it was, what is it, 86, 87?
TNG is 87 to 94.
Well, yeah, but if it was that early, and it might be 87, which is before I was born.
No, true. Yeah, no, never mind. Oh yeah, we're about
math is hard, Matt.
Math is hard when you've been drinking cookie dough whiskey.
Is that the only cookies you can have because no gluten? Is that why you're drinking it?
There's gluten-free cookie. There's no gluten-free cookies in the house right now, but yeah, there's gluten-free cookies, and then there's cookie dough whiskey. Think sort of along the lines of peanut butter whiskey, but like not. It's sweet, but it doesn't it doesn't taste like an actual cookie, but it does taste sort of like sugar cookie dough.
Okay.
Makes me want sugar cookies now.
Same.
If you mix it with Dunkin' Spiked, it also helps.
Jesus Christ, man!
I think Keith has a final question of the evening.
All right.
His final question is: what the f is cookie dough whiskey?
Whatever the hell Matt's drinking.
This is Doughball whiskey. Coffee. It's 35% alcohol by volume, so it's 70 proof. They do not give you any write-up about the company. Literally what will happen at holidays is my sister and her husband will go out and purchase the most like ridiculous alcohols for me. Usually it'll be something like Screwball or something along those lines. And I love Screwball. I love peanut butter whiskey. Peanut butter whiskey is fantastic. On its own, as a mixer, yes, judge me all you want, but like peanut butter whiskey tastes really good.
Screwball is good. I will give it up to Screwball.
So they found Doughball with its little like bulldog insignia, and they're like, "Oh, it's cookie dough. He'll like that." Now I'll also drink the finer whiskeys as well. I just happen to be out of the finer whiskeys because I drank them all last week.
So are you gonna like pull a Ron Swanson and go to Lagavulin and just like revel?
I love Lagavulin. I love Islays. I love very many scotches. The Oban is one of my favorite. Like me and Scotch, we go along very well.
Is it bad that they have a birthday cake whiskey that I am interested in buying, and it's on Total Wine, so I can get 3x United Miles?
I'm shocked that this episode ends on mileage plus X, as it was foretold.
I missed the app. I was so sorry that I ever deleted it off my phone.
Here's the thing. I don't know why you did, because you still like want to stack things even though you're not like anyway.
Keith mentioning that Scotch tastes like Band-Aids. Depends on the Scotch. Some are pretty bad. I like Scotch. I will go full Ron Burgundy when it comes to Scotch. All right, that is a weird place that I didn't necessarily think we'd end, but there we go. All right, thank you for joining us on this Thursday night live of the Stack Your Points podcast. Irish whiskey is good. Irish whiskey is fantastic. I love Irish whiskey. It is Irish whiskey, Scotch, and then whatever the hell else comes around.
Bourbon's on there somewhere.
Bourbon is very definitely on there. Rye is on there as well. Then there's like the flavored whiskeys where peanut butter whiskey reigns supreme. Do not come after me with Fireball, because Fireball is what you either drink to get drunk very quickly, or you are so far down the rabbit hole of being drunk that Fireball doesn't taste like anything.
Side note, this is wild. I was on TikTok and I saw this person who wanted to Control Alt Delete hard reset their life, and they had like a combination Fireball Everclear. And I just want to apologize to that person. I hope that they're okay, because
that is some Gen Z nonsense right there. Everclear hurts.
Join us tomorrow for the main show of Stack Your Points on YouTube at 7 a.m.
Main show dropping tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. It is a good main show that we had this week with Craig, also known as Kid Cat 37. Sorry, Kid Cat, for that. didn't mean to blow up your spot here on YouTube. Well, you've been on YouTube here as your full name, so there we go. If you like what we do, hit the like and subscribe button down below. Check us out on Wednesdays and Fridays here on YouTube for the recorded show, the podcatcher of your choice on Saturdays for the full show. Check us out on the lives here, which we're going to call SYP Live, although I have a different name I might talk to my co-hosts about. So we will go from there. Redbreast, Spot Whiskey, everything else. That's fair. Redbreast is pretty good. Yeah, check us out next week. We'll try to get together around the same time, 8:30 p.m. Central, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on here on YouTube. I will probably have something other than cookie dough whiskey next week. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good one.